It's a wonderful, wonderful Sunday, February 4th, February 4th, 2024, right here in Barbados. This is the Marcia Week Show. Yes, and we are coming to you live. I see many of you are already logged on. Wonderful day was it? It was a beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful, lovely sunshine. And we have much to be thankful for, much to be thankful for. And I want to say to everybody who's listening something very important. You want to hear what it is? A change is coming. A change is coming. I could feel it. Anybody else could feel that change? Good evening to everybody who's on. Good evening. Good evening. Whenever I come on, I am just so lifted up when I come on and see that people are on already. Loyal daughter, oh my Lord, you were on from 5:50. I guarantee you, if this show goes up at 12 o'clock in the day, people will be waiting at that time. Loyal daughter 66. Oh, you have been such a loyal daughter to this country. You are logged on. I see you almost every night. And she says, we're going to stand up, take our people with us. For together we are going to a brand new home far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling us to answer? And that is what is in my spirit. The Negro spiritual says, and before I be a slave, I be buried in my grave and go home to my what it says, go home to my I can't remember, and be free. And go home and be free. And before I be a slave. And that is what Barbadians are saying, that together we're going to a brand new home far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling? Freedom is calling us. Good evening, Heathcliff. Good evening, Monica. Can you hear freedom calling, Monica? A change is coming. A change is coming all across this country. Diana Seeley. A change is coming. Marvin Allen. Yes, a change is coming. Annette Wood. Yes. Good evening, everyone. She says, a change is coming. A change is coming. And before I be a slave, before I sit down in Barbados and let any dictator enslave me, I would rather be buried in my grave. That's what our ancestors say. We can't say anything different. You heard Lumumba the other night. This is about enslaving us. Good night, born again. What is this? Where do we live? We live in another country there. Is it China? We live? Is it South Korea? Where do we live? What's the name of our prime minister? What's the name of our leader? We don't want to be mixing it up with nobody else. Listen, we are telling ourselves, and before I live in a country with a dictator, what would our ancestors do? What would our ancestors do? They did everything that they could do to fight against slavery. And as far as I'm concerned, nobody is going to enslave me. And, this is what they are trying to do. A government with all 30 seats would come up with a bill like that cybersecurity bill. Good night, Raik One, Kweli Sawabono, Emerson Bob. I'm going through the names so quickly I didn't call everybody's name. Monica Ince. This is my people's, KEMAR. Yes. CG. Good night. Sir Alfred Benjamin from Brooklyn, New York City. Yes. Mr. Maximus. Good night. Good night, Llewellyn Eiffel. Good night, Pauline Maynard. Erwin Nurse, good night, good night, good night. I hope I responded to you. I remember seeing a message from you. I'm hoping so. Please let me know if I responded. Oswald Newton, Everton Hunt. Where are you, Everton? Good night, good night, good night. I am taking the time to, to make mention of my peoples because they come on every night and we have a big night for you. Apostle Linworth Canterbury will be on with us tonight. Gamel Jenkins, Sharon Bell, we're on. Guys, are we sharing? Are we liking? Make sure we're liking. ADG, yes. Pedro Gemot, Michelle Grant. Yes. No, this is the chat. Let me tell you, you guys in the chat, you gave so many great ideas when we were doing the press conference. A lot of what was in the press in that document, came from you all. And remember, it was on the show that I was inspired to call for that press conference, right on this show. The chat is so important. The chat is so important, and we're not going to allow people to come on here and distract us with this chat, because this chat, we plan a lot of things on this chat. This chat is important. Hey, Carrie. Hi, Marvin, Allen. Yes, and he was saying that KEMAR was on point as usual. Brass tacks today. He's a blessing to all of us. The loyal opposition, stay strong and we shall conquer. Yes. Merlin O'Neill. Square 4, good night. Good night, all loyal opposition. Let us put on the whole armor of God against this cybersecurity bill. Square 4, I'm hoping that you're going to come out. I'm in full agreement with you. And while we're going to stay in our house and put on the full armor, we need you on the streets on Saturday. Barbados, I say this, you come out in your numbers. And let me tell you, there's some people, they're going to meet us down there. Listen, we know for sure they're going to meet us down there. They're going to send the people. Either they're going to put up the drones. Remember, they're not going to put up the drones, right? But they're going to try to meet us down there. I wonder if Commission is going to be down there. If he comes, we might as well just give Commission a placard. The placards, we're going to start making the placards next week, I'm told. Because CG is going in there and going to make them placards. I can't wait to see what she has in mind. Oh, my goodness. Janine Butcher. Good night. I'm Zasha Yearwood. I'm calling names tonight because, you all make the show. You make the show. I see the general there. Alwyn Bob, we're going to talk a bit about you tonight, and I know you can't come on to talk about it, but he's going to get his day in court with this very crooked government that we have, this corrupt government that has victimized Alwyn Bob. Yes. And Sandra Franklin, good night. Good night, Nigel Newton. Good night. Yes, we have to stand up and fight back, and that is on Saturday morning. People, don't stay home in your bed. If you have to go to the market, you have to go to the supermarket, do the errands in the week, plan for it. We're talking about our freedoms here, guys. Yeah, they're gonna have to lock up all of us. Yeah. FX Trading BB, Cali B, Jack Sobers, Colin Clark. Yes, Nehemiah. Yes, Rachel Thornhill. Yes, Hasbro. Alexi Williams, I am doing this deliberately because I need you to know how important you all are. You are important. Let me see the fist. Where's the fist? I'm using my right hand. Where's the fist? Let's see the fist. Yes, Mr. Franklin got the fist up. And you know he's a Mr. Franklin. Listen, the opposition red team. We're fighting. We're fighting, Mr. Franklin. No, no, they're not gonna take away all of our yes, loyal thoughts have got the fist up. Find the fist, find that fist, guys, and put up the fist. And before I be a slave, that's what our ancestors said. I'll be buried in my grave and go home and be free. I go home to somebody. I can't remember what it says. I'll be free. Mr. Franklin, good night. Spring time is
Good night to
telling you
Mars.
good.
Yeah, it's so good to be here again tonight. I I was there laying down just waiting for 7 o'clock.
Yes,
You know? And then when I came trying to log on, my picture was at the side and all kind of stuff. I said I gotta go out again, come back again. But I'm here and I'm
yes,
staying.
yes. Yes, that's right. And you look bright and fresh like you had some good rest
Yeah,
today.
it's also the new haircut. I saw I when I got this
That's what
haircut
I know
yesterday,
something. I
and
know.
I passed by the mirror. I said, "Boy, you getting real damn cute."
That's what, I know your wife inspired that haircut, I know she inspired that haircut.
No, I'll tell you. It's more. It goes before her. My mother. I when I go, but I used to go with my mother every day. And she would
Yeah.
say, "Kaz, you don't think you look a little bushy?" you know, or something like. I would say no, but the next day I would come up my hair be cut though. You know what I mean? Or
Yes,
she would,
yes, yes.
or
I
she
know,
would say,
I know how to.
she would say me, oh, guys, you don't hear what cutting now. She never tell me what cutting, but I would go and by the time she tell me so I know it what cutting I go on. So I keep up the tradition even though she's gone.
And I'm sure your wife keeps that going. That's the wives for you.
no, she,
But
no, she
you're looking quite handsome, quite fresh. I noticed it, and but I wasn't sure what it was. So yeah, Kimar is on early. Let me tell you, Kimar, you can be in any of my cabinets. The kitchen cabinet, any cabinet that I have, Kimar.
Yeah.
Kimar, you can come in. Listen, man. You can come and be in any of my cabinet, Kimar.
Well, as long as not a kitchen cabinet, I'm fine,
like the one that we have now, this
Cabinet.
kitchen cabinet. Last night I wrote somebody. I told them this could only be described as a kitchen cabinet because they don't understand what a shadow cabinet is. They are not a shadow cabinet. If you are a shadow cabinet, you are a member of the House. You are a member of the official opposition, and you shadow a portfolio. This nonsense that they're doing. It makes the Dems look like clowns. It is hurtful to see Barrow's party reduced to this kind of parody of nonsense. Look, just Google cabinet. Don't ask me. Just Google shadow minister or shadow cabinet. You shadow a minister, a guy with a portfolio. You shadow a portfolio. So and you are a member of the official opposition. If you are not in the House, you could only be a party spokesman or spokesperson. People like to call these days on on a particular subject. But you're not a shadow cabinet. They're making themselves look stupid.
yeah.
It pains me to think that that these people, and mind you, I understand why some of the others went along with it because if they don't go along with this thing, they don't get a chance to run, so they have to go along with it. But they're being embarrassed, they're being embarrassed by stupidity. People who have not done politics 101, who I don't think they're registered for the course, and they're coming and they're hearing things and they're implementing them without understanding what they're implementing, and it looks stupid. It is not a shadow cabinet. It at best is a kitchen cabinet. You know what I mean? But it honestly, it is painful to watch, especially when the people of this country are relying on the Democratic Labour Party to come up and do something. They come up there posing in their suits and stuff, and but they posing my haircut, so you can't really kill them. But um, they're posing, their suits and stuff, and making fools of themselves. They are not a shadow cabinet. What they should have done is to
Mr.
say, look.
Franklin, I want to ask a question. I'm saying what about the someone might look on and say, well, we asked the DLP to do something, and I mean, we've been on the show and we say, listen, you've got to do something. We need to see that you, and I mean, some people looking on might say, well, it looks as though they're organizing themselves. How about what about that?
But when you're doing something, you don't make fools of yourselves in the process. Because right now what they have done is to give the BLP fodder to beat to make fun at them. No, you go there and you look serious. You do things that make sense. He looks like a clown prince. You can't be serious. No. Barbados is relying on the Democratic Labour Party right now to stand up. And if you really, even if they were in the cap, they had seats in the house. Okay, Pablo, you don't agree. That's no problem. Much people don't agree with me anyhow. But what I'm telling you is, just check the definition of a shadow cabinet. What a shadow cabinet is, it's member, not what they think it is. Look in Google it. Google it for yourself. Let me see if I can Google it, because people think that I make fun. But it is not what they say it is. It is what it is. You can look at a rose and call it something else, but it will always be a rose in the end, And what they are doing, okay, they want to do something, but at least find out what you're doing before you do it. Because in the end, who looks stupid? You. Then the Barbados Labour Party will make fun at them. You remember the time when they came out with the crime and violence thing? That was important. But the way they presented themselves, they made fun of a serious, the BLP made fun of a serious issue, and people laugh at them. Even though crime and violence was pervading the society, the way they marketed themselves and made they did it, they still end up looking stupid, and everybody laugh at them and made jokes at them and all kind of stuff because of the way they presented themselves. You have to come out. Let me type shadow cabinet here for you and shadow minister or whatever.
Yeah. While you're looking for that, KEMAR, I see good night. And I see that quite a number of persons online, they're asking why you were not included. Are you at liberty to discuss any of that tonight on why you were not included in the shadow cabinet?
Well, let me not forget my manners first to say good night to everybody. Both you and Caswell, and both of the members of the loyal opposition. I see some of the comments here, and yes, we had a really good show today on Brass Stats discussing the cybercrime bill. And the minister is supposed to be on Brass Stats tomorrow. So that is a good going. Let me just clear the air here on some issues, because I know quite a few persons are asking and have been asking about my so-called exclusion from the announced shadow cabinet. In all fairness, I was approached to join the shadow cabinet, but before I was approached, I actually wrote 2 letters of interest to the Democratic Labour Party, expressing an interest in assisting the party with its economics, in the area of economics and finance. My letter was not acknowledged, or it was not given a response in writing.
When did you write those letters? When did you write the letter? In comparison to now, how long ago?
Well, these letters were written last year. Right, two letters.
Okay. All right. And you did not hear a response from them. Okay, go
Right.
ahead, please.
In turn, um, I was offered a position um, in an area that I didn't. Again, I was not best suited for that position, so I suggested to the person who asked me at the time to offer it to the person who has the best skill in the area to handle the position. So I didn't just want a position because of what you want be in the do, you know. Um, that is not my way. So my suggestion was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I am most competent or the best person to handle this. Maybe you should consider, and I gave the name of the person and the recommendation to do so. Um, this particular time now, let me just say that I was treated in a very disparaging way and told some very harsh things about why I would never be allowed to assist the party in the area of economics and finance, right? This very last time on this particular shadow cabinet now, I was offered a position to speak on the Ministry of Environment. But let
Okay,
me
so
just
you were asked to do Ministry of Environment, not economics, environment.
no
Okay.
environment. However, the rationale for not allowing me to function or assist in the area of economics and finance was because I quote unquote do not have a degree in economics. Let me just say that I studied banking and finance at university. Yeah? Banking and finance. Bachelor's in banking and finance is what I studied at university. Right. I wrote Alternate Views, which is a very good book on the Barbados economy, and I am director at Stewart and Perkins, which we do economic analysis on a daily basis, right? And you see my work, you see my contributions, you know, and that is my area, that's my forte. But the rationale was that I didn't have a degree in economics, and that was part of the challenge. However, no, I don't have a degree in environment. No understanding whatsoever about the environment, none. So the same yardstick that measured my rejection, all right? When they offered is the same yardstick that should be used now. Right? I'm not qualified, not competent, I have no understanding. There was no vision provided to me to take the position, and therefore there was no further discussion about me taking the Ministry of Environment.
Yeah. So that is why you were not. So you were. So what Timar is saying, for those of you who've just joined, that he wrote the DLP, to offer his service in the area of economics, and twice, and he was never responded to. Uh, and then on this particular occasion, they offered him the Ministry of Environment, which he doesn't know anything about. So, which is I appreciate the fact that you did not become. My husband said, "What is a square peg in a round hole?" Just much of what is happening now, we see there are lots of these ministers who took up portfolios and they know nothing about it and mess up what it is that they're doing. So so I can definitely understand why you didn't take, but at least it's cleared up that you were offered, but it was something that was not in your you don't have the skill set for, or you're not prepared for that. And the fact that you did send a letter in to the DLP, and they did not respond to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Stewart. Um, Caswell,
Yes,
you
yes,
were researching something.
yeah, yes.
To
I
Kimar, the
have it
speaker.
here. I'm actually on the UK Parliament website, and they typed in shadow cabinet, and this is what came up. The shadow cabinet is the team of senior spokespeople chosen by the leader of the opposition to mirror the cabinet in government. Each member of the shadow cabinet is appointed to lead on a specific policy area for their party and to question and challenge their counterpart in cabinet. In this way, the official opposition seeks to present itself as an alternative government in waiting. The shadow cabinet, you see, is a feature of the Westminster type system of government that we have. You wouldn't have a shadow cabinet in the United States, right? So,
Mhm.
so if you are going to be running in the Westminster type system of government, the shadow cabinet is part of the official opposition. There is no official opposition, so you cannot label yourself shadow cabinet. That's not something that you throw out there. It's a term of art. It is what it is. You are a member of the parliament, but you are not in government. And not only are you not in government, but you are a member of the largest group that opposes the government in parliament. So that is where you become the the shadow cabinet. Where you can form a
Mhm.
shadow cabinet. That is why you say that you can only be DLP spokespersons on health, the spokesperson on thing, but you cannot be the shadow cabinet because you got to be in the house and you got to be in the house challenging the minister for that area when you get there. So that's what I'm saying. It sounds, shadow cabinet sounds good, but you got to know what it is. You know, it seems as though whoever formulated the shadow cabinet does not know what a shadow cabinet is. And if you do not know what a shadow cabinet is, you should not be leading a political party. It is as simple as that.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
is.
But some
I feel for them. Honestly, I feel for them. Go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
Yeah. So right. I'm wondering because I think the optics of it, though, I understand, and I take what you said, Mr. Franklin. I didn't look at it that way. Looking at it, it could come across to some that they are just, I guess it's just in the same way that we say opposition. So they're
Yeah,
using the
no, no,
term
no,
loosely.
no.
The
We are an opposition
figuratively.
because anybody is an
Yeah.
opposition, but you're never the official opposition unless you're in parliament, and you are never the you can and unless you are the official opposition, you cannot form a shadow cabinet. This is you are recognized in parliament when you speak as the shadow minister responsible for this, the shadow minister be responsible for this. And then pray tell me, if you are shadowing a portfolio, you cannot have a shadow minister without portfolio. They
Mm.
are making a mockery of the whole thing. I almost cried last night when I saw it. Because look, I want this government out of office. I want them out as soon as possible. But I do not want them out with another set of clowns. And you have to understand what you are doing. When I saw it, I was around politics from the 70s, and I've worked closely with the Barbados Labour Party. I know what is supposed to be done and how it is supposed to be done and when it is supposed to be done. That is why I was effective as a senator in the in the session, the last session, because I knew what was supposed to be done. I knew the rules because as a member and at the Barbados Labour Party, and I became a personal assistant. Then I had to accompany my minister to the house in case he needed me for anything. So I learned the rules in the process. So when I got to speak, I knew when I was skating on thin ice, and I knew when I was on solid ground. Because you have to
Yeah.
learn your craft. These are not learning their craft. They're looking to become people in power. But if you want to be in power, you got to learn what to do, and as a result, then you will do it well. So look.
Yeah.
I want them to succeed, but I don't want them to make fools
Okay.
of themselves.
Yeah.
It
Well,
is as simple
you
as
know,
that.
as someone is saying, I mean, we have many other topics that we want to talk about tonight, but I mean, I believe that this was something that we needed to address on the show, especially the fact that when we looked, we didn't see KEMAR's name there. And so I'm glad for the explanation that KEMAR has given. Now, my last question on this topic here, KEMAR, in the chat, there people are making lots of different suggestions. You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer on here on this program tonight. Some people want you to go and form a third party. Some people want you to run as an independent. I know that we listen to you on brass tacks today. People are talking about how effective you were. If you were to run as an independent, your name is out there already. Do you really need a party to run? I don't know. So you can either stick with the DLP, run as an independent, start your own party, or forget politics completely. So people are asking what it is that you're going to do. You want to answer that on here?
Well, at this point, and as I told Barry Wilkinson on the radio, my activism is all about giving to the people of Barbados. So regardless of what
Mhm.
anybody has to say, right? I will chart the path that the Lord has set me on to serve the people of Barbados. However that needs to happen, it will happen. Um, when you have political vision, it's not for the faint heart. You'll be challenged, you'll be disrespected, you'll be blocked. There's things like envy and jealousy. When people who are also ambitious see that the people may have favor for you, they tend to do some very nasty things to maim and defame the character, set up all type of blockages. But at the end of the day, what is for a man he will get, right?
Mhm.
And we got victories for the people, and then list out some of the victories we got. We got the government to lower the like bills a bit. We scored a victory on the LAS. We scored a victory on the sewage water. We scored a victory on the Grant Adams International Airport.
ID
We
cards.
scored the ID cards. We scored a victory on these houses that made the front page of the newspaper today, right?
They follow the March week show.
Right? So I'm not in anybody's cabinet, Marcia, and that's what I've been doing, right? So no inclusion in any cabinet, kitchen cabinet, shadow cabinet will help me or not help me. What I'm doing is driven by my love for the people. So what I will not do is to sell out myself first things first, and to sell out the people that I represent just to be included in anybody's shadow cabinet or real cabinet. If I wanted to be in a cabinet, I could have accepted the offers that were given to me by members of the other side, but I didn't. I stuck it out, right? Against all of the criticisms, against some of the bribery, against some of the nasty, low-minded talk, things that were some very nasty things that were said about me, even by members of my own political party, and I'm still here, and I will be here for a very long time, Marcia. But like I said, we don't know what the future holds, but I'm continuing on the path that I'm on, regardless of political or party affiliation or not.
Marcia,
Yeah.
Kimar is
You
a
know.
remarkable young man. You see, he has a wonderful brain and it works well. And I think they're jealous of that. There are not very many people of his ilk that can match him anywhere in Barbados. And I'm not saying that because he is here in front of me. I would sit behind his back. I would sit in front of his face. I would say anywhere I go. And I think that is his downfall, his ability. People are jealous of it. People do not want to see a person like him shine. They want to shine like him, but they don't have the faculties or the capacity to shine like him. So they're jealous. So rather than support him, they try to pull him down. I always tell people, one of the best permanent secretaries Barbados ever had was a man named Harcourt Lewis. He was not a big brain, but what he did, he always got the people who can do the job and put them in place and manage them. And then because he was the manager, Harcourt Lewis got the credit. He set up the data processing department. Up to that point, he never turned on the computer. You know, but everybody knows that he set up the data processing department. He set up ICB, you know, and converted the savings bank into a national bank. And all of those things he did without experience in banking, without experience in insurance, without experience in things. That is that. Uh, so that is what a manager, a person that they have to do. When you got people with skill, like KEMAR, you use him to make yourself shine. But we have people who want to shine by themselves. They don't want if they are not the person who come up with the idea, they can push it down. I remember he had a meeting, KEMAR had a meeting scheduled for the city. And the people in the Democratic Labour Party decide, no, you can't have your meeting. We can hold one and we can schedule one that same day. Before they come out and support him. The problem is they're jealous of him. They can't match him. That's the thing. But KEMAR, trust me, I'm going to tell you, the people are watching. They know who you are and they know what you are. And they respect you for it. Don't worry about any detractors. And I will be holding your back. Anytime I told you I behind you, you don't have to look back to see what's happening behind there because you go forward, I can be there, I can be at your back.
And listen, all of us, KEMAR, all of us. Kerry is saying here, shine bright like a diamond. And Mike Trident says, KEMAR, no person can stop your progress, no matter how hard they try. You have very good morals. And it goes on and on. I'm reading. I know you're reading the comments. So we will take the positive out of this. Take the positive out of this. My grandmother has a saying that says, "What is for you can be on for you." Right? What is for you can't be on for you. All right. So if this was for you, it would be for you. All right. So God has something else. Somebody said, KEMAR is not a shadow boxer. He's a counter puncher. Counter puncher. You know, but let's kind of switch over a bit to you know what happened today. We're gonna deal with the houses a little later on. We're gonna leave that one last. But let's talk about you know, this cyber security bill, okay? And this cyber, am I saying that correctly? Is that the correct name?
Cyber crime. Cyber crime.
Cyber crime, yes. Somehow
and I am not certain if it passed the Senate. I know it was being debated in the Senate. I don't know if they passed it, and that because if it passed it in the Senate, no, it's no longer a bill, but it's an act. Because it was just waiting to be proclaimed.
It's not very clear on the internet where it is yet. I don't know if anybody who researched it can give us any clarity, because the last time that I checked it wasn't clear. So I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure what was happening there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what was happening. But anyway, this cybercrime bill, KEMAR, you were on Brass Tacks today with that. And can you, what was your experience on Brass Tacks? You had various different views. Give us a summary of what happened.
Well, I was on with Barry Wilkinson, Harry Husbands, and economist Jeremy Stevens. Harry Husbands being an attorney. And it was a very good discussion. We led off most of the discussion. We spoke about social media use. Clips were played from both Wilfred Abrams and Marsha Cattle. And they were speaking in Parliament. I issued my concerns in terms of the application of the bill, who it applies to. I issued concerns about the level of fines in these bills. And I issued serious concerns about the lack of coverage for politicians in this bill, because nothing in it speaks to coverage for politicians who have parliamentary privilege. so they can get in the Parliament of Barbados and say what they feel like about anybody in this country with no recourse to the law courts. But they are saying, on the other hand, and I heard Cynthia Bradshaw speaking about 30 minutes ago at her St. Michael Sophie's branch meeting, and she's saying that she's sending letters to people to sue them because they defame her character by saying that she did something untoward with that check, and that they're writing people who came on the areas to defame her to take them to court to sue them for defamation of her, right?
I'm
So,
waiting for mine.
whoa.
You know, she's what she did is contrary to the law.
Well, so we
That's the
can see
truth.
already, Marcia, that the legislation have not even been passed, and they want to come after people for being activists. They want to come after people for speaking the truth, right? I have
Right.
not heard one defamatory comment from nobody on this Marcia Week show about her. She didn't call any names specifically, but she said people who defamed and slandered her name, suggesting that she did something wrong. Well, I always say you cannot sue anybody for telling the truth, right? And this cybercrime bill actually tries to change that because
Yes.
in telling the truth, they can then run it to try to sue you because they feel embarrassed or severe emotional. She's feeling embarrassed and she's feeling severe emotional distress. So that's what she's confident saying that she's going to send out letters to sue people for saying things about her, right? So her statement is firm reason why we need to further stand up against this because these fickle skin politicians who had some of the worst things on earth to say about our former Prime Minister Fernando Stewart. Oh, his nose was big and he was too dark and he was this and he was that, right? I didn't hear them talking about censoring social media. In fact, the Prime Minister was walking all about this country saying not to allow anybody, BRD, to silence them in this country. But look what they're doing, trying to do to people now, right? So the same tool that they use to slew people, they now want to outlaw it to keep their parliamentary privilege for themselves. And based off her statement, the Deputy Prime Minister, she wants to come after people now for defamation.
Well, I don't wish her any good
Yeah.
luck because I can tell you, I know a little bit about defamation. I've been sued 7 times. Nobody even yet. She will be the eighth. And she acknowledged receiving the check. The law does not allow her to receive that check. And it ain't only illegal, it looks bad. You got a man who does business with your ministry and you receiving money from him. I'm talking about he giving you for hampers and for and the hampers is gone and done. So we're gonna do hampers for next year. So I don't buy it. And if she said it was for her charity, put it in the name of the charity. Nothing that she said and nothing that Mayor tried to justify. Mayor said, oh, but Mayor ain't even went that. Mayor said, you checking cash? That she ain't cash it. It ain't cash because the fella steal it. If that fella hadn't stolen it, that little hero in prison now, if he hadn't stolen it, we would not have known that she was out there taking um, money from people that she should not be taking money from. And now talking about threatening to sue people, go right ahead, sue, because I said, and I will repeat, that what you did was contrary to the Prevention of Corruption Act. The act speaks to that. No, all you have to do is to look at the act and look at her and look at what she did and see the two of them merge quite good together. So that is the truth. Defamation must first be untrue. You can say it
You
like, let
know,
me explain to
but
people.
yeah.
For instance, if you tell a lie, every lie is not even defamation because, for instance, if you say Caswell is ugly, that's a monstrous lie, but it is not defamation. You know, it doesn't lower me in the eyes of of right thinking people, right? But no, if you say something about somebody You say, like, for instance, he's a homosexual, and that is not accepted, but so far no, it will not be. But you say, and you can't prove that, even though he might be. That's defaming the man in the eyes of right thinking people. Because you gotta be able to prove what you say. I can prove what I said because I read the act and I read her account. And the two of them said to me, this is wrong. Let her go ahead and let her sue. Because I will get a lawyer so that my lawyer will get some fees. Because she can end up paying my fees. You know? I want my lawyer to get some fees out of her. You know, you before she goes and say, I am so sorry, I made a mistake. It ain't gonna happen again. She won't go. There's all talking to the yard folks, trying to make the so they will come out there and some of them tell me, oh, you attacking Saudi and attacking the body. I am talking about uh, principles. What should and what should not happen. If you breach those things and the people catch you or you are caught, you should have a defense. You should have a I am sorry, I ain't gonna do it again. That kind of thing. That's what she should be doing up there at the batch meeting. She said, but you know, I wasn't thinking along those lines, you know, when they got the check. But you know, I realized that the people and I made a mistake and I'm sorry. That's the least she could have done. What she should
Yeah.
have done is to say, well, oops, I got caught in the slips. I out and gone. And then if she didn't do that, then Mayor, as the Prime Minister, who is the guardian of the integrity of the cabinet ministers, because there's no code of conduct for them, she should have fired the minister. And I can keep on saying that even after the case is finished, because I will win. You know? And when I
You
win,
know,
when I,
what we're talking about. Finish, Mr. Franklin.
yes, sir. And when I win, I can get CG to make a placard for me.
Listen, you know, Mr. Franklin, what you're saying there actually, and KEMAR, in the Nation newspaper today, Neil Harper, the cyber uh, personnel, he said, professional, he said that, you know, that on the malicious communications report, Harper found it deeply problematic. He reasoned it could be used for political persecution, stifling freedom of expression, or valuable public commentary, or leverage to prevent criticism of politicians or public personalities, as the same vague language exists in the Computer Misuse Act, which has been improperly used for the same abuses identified. He is referring to the the cybercrime bill. And this is the same Neil Harper that is he's saying that it is problematic because it is too wide. So he's also agreeing, and his greatest fear is that it will be used by politicians to stifle people in the country. And for a government that has 30 seats, all 30 seats, to come up with something like this, it smells like dictatorship to me. It looks like it. It feels like it. Because you know, I mean, anybody in their right mind, you read something like that, it doesn't make sense.
Marcia, just what KEMAR talked about just now shows that these politicians are talking from the third side of their mouth. Um, Santia is saying that she can send lawyer letters to people and sue them and all kind of thing, right? For so there are laws and they're already to deal with people who do these things. So why you come now and specifically say computer this and computer that? Because if you set up on a computer, if you write it, if you speak it, it is still defamation. So why are you coming up with this particular thing? Because you want to silence social media. You want to make sure that the social media is not used in the same way that they used social media the last time to help unearth and uproot the dams. That is all that is happening right now. They don't like so the old people used to say. They did it and they know how effective it was So no, they don't want that same effectiveness to be applied to them. But I can tell them how to make sure that that same effectiveness don't apply to them. Do the right thing. If you do the right thing,
Yeah.
nobody will criticize you. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Rather than finding ways to hide their evil doings and try to terrorize people and intimidate people into silence, all they have to do to silence me is to do the right thing. They ain't got nothing to criticize. It's as simple as that. Do the right thing.
Well,
Yeah.
Marcia,
Um,
it's my belief.
go ahead, Kima.
It is my belief that she heard that Rosa Parliament was coming to the point. That is why she. That is why she ran out there to hold a branch meeting out there that she can talk and say what she feels like. But how Rosa Parliament got there before her, she wouldn't have known how to say half of these things, right? But this is very eye opening for the people. How, right? On what basis did anybody defame her or say anything disparaging about? We still look at her action, right? We didn't call her a thief. We didn't say that she stole anything. We said what she did was corrupt, and the law proves what she did was corrupt. So how now can she come after and sue people on the basis of the law, one being correct, and two, you just speaking the law as what we saw on the paper? The check was written to her. So how can somebody be sued
Yeah.
for something that was printed in the newspaper, right?
No, something that
But
she acknowledged.
okay, well, she said that she did it. Eric Clark and Associates said that they paid. They paid. So you have all of the evidence. If it's anybody that should be legally challenged, is her, and not the other way around.
Yes.
Well, this is why we are having we're going to be having this march on Saturday. Saturday coming, folks. Saturday coming, folks. We need to have people out there. This is so important. This has to do with our freedoms. This would have to be our freedom of expression. This is a government that is 30-0 that would come up with something like this. This is evil. As somebody says, a hurricane writer saying, Belgians, we cannot allow the cybercrime bill to pass in Barbados. It heralds the destruction of freedom and peace in Barbados. Yes, hurricane writer, and we need to come out on Saturday. Now, in Jamaica, actually, I spoke to one of the lawyers in Jamaica, and Prime Minister Andrew Holness tried to sneak that in with coming in with a hate bill. He calls it a hate bill. It's a very similar thing, and against what is put out on social media, etc., etc. And the Jamaicans push back on it. And I'll just look up quickly what they says, what she said to me here. They said there is no hate speech bill in Jamaica, right? Only talk by the government of Jamaica. Clergy spoke up loud and clear against it, and the PM had to backtrack. Their organization is not in favor of hate speech laws and has written to the government of Jamaica on this. And she sent me they said there's this article where it says Wholeness seeks to quell concerns over hate speech stance. Right? Right? So right, they have to pull it back. And so I'm saying to Barbados that we have to get out there, make sure we're out there on Saturday. Yes? We have to get out there on Saturday at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Come up by Massacre Park at 10 o'clock. Yeah? As you see what Trevor Seeley said, freedom of speech is vital to a free nation. It is like the blood that flows to the heart. And that's what I'm saying, that before I be a slave, right, I will be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Yes? Yes, yes.
Marcia, you
So
know what
let's
is
go ahead. Yes.
You know what it's telling? They put an Integrity in Public Life Act on the books, but failed to proclaim it. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Them ain't got no time to get that done. But they got time to do this. They got time to do this because this is about terrorizing the people, not making sure that the politicians behave with any sort of integrity. So they are more. They're not interested in legislating about themselves or to keep themselves in good order. They want to keep me and you controlled, tightly controlled.
Yeah.
But I think people come to her for lessons, because I was I read the BBC, and I saw we had a fellow called Macky Sall who turned up here, who was the president of Senegal, and he had 20
Yes.
more
Yes.
days in
Yes.
office. He had 20 more days in
Mm-hmm.
office. He come to Barbados for talks and consultations. He went back home and canceled the elections. So that something wrong with this place. I think we're teaching people the wrong thing. So Macky Sall has canceled
But
the elections in Senegal after leaving Barbados.
Mr. Franklin, Mr. Franklin, I want to ask you a question. He came here, and I saw where there was some arrangements and so on that was made between Barbados and Senegal, right? Am I right in that?
Yes, correct.
So
But
you're telling me that
saying some
this
memorandum of
government
understanding, all kind of thing. Yeah.
memorandum of understanding, this is with a president that the world knows, everybody knows, right? Would have been out in 20 days, right? Less than 20 days. So you're gonna tell me that they didn't know that, the leaders here, and what were they thinking? Or my question is it that they knew that he was going to go back home and say no election indefinitely? You see what I'm
I,
saying?
I, I think that is a reasonable conclusion to draw. Simply because the no government can bind, no outgoing government can bind incoming government on its policies. Now, if you had loans, you got to come follow so those loans and that kind of stuff. But if you can have policies and international relations and stuff, you cannot bind another incoming administration with your policy. So we probably knew that he wasn't going anywhere.
That's what
You see
I'm
all
saying.
you remember I said on the show some time ago that every time Mia makes friends, she's ended up making friends with a lot of seedy people, and I felt for her because she didn't got no luck. She always ended up with wrong crooks. Like somehow she just had this thing about her that the crooks always find their way to her. And she's there on the platform. They're standing up and they're feeling her chest. I can't say heart because I'm still not convinced that there's a heart there. But she's standing there and alongside of him, and they're standing up looking nice. And I said, look, something is wrong here. I know we see what is wrong. They come to Barbados to get lessons. So we gotta be careful, There might not be no more elections, but hey, if we don't stand up, because they said the people give you 30 seats twice, well, they probably do what we all the time. Barbados,
Yeah, this
you
is
have to come out and
this
support this march. You have to come out because this is your freedom. If you want to be a slave again, or you want to be a slave now for the first time because your foreparents were slaves. Now, if you want to be a slave, stay at home and watch what's happening. This is a threat to our democracy, the way we live, the way we speak. And you see, the thing is, when this government, when in opposition, when they were doing it, there was nothing wrong. What has made it so wrong now? No, I still don't understand that. Because people are not doing anything differently. So what has made it so wrong when they were doing it? Didn't they think it was wrong then? So when did this thing strike them? Like a Saul to Paul transformation kind of thing down the road to Damascus and Cameroon. Next thing you know, he's Paul. How did they get to there? It was okay. They brought some person from overseas to manage this process. Chinese fellow Zhang, to manage this process, to uproot the Democratic Party, get them out of office. And people, mind you, it was good political stuff. I laughed at it, a lot of
Mhm.
it. It was, a lot of it was funny, you know, but they did it. And they're trying to make sure that nobody else can do it after them. That is not democracy. And if we want Barbados to remain a democracy, the people of this country have to come out and show them that we mean business. Don't stay home, because this affecting you now. This affecting everybody that got a telephone, a cell phone, and do WhatsApp, Instagram, and all kind of thing. It affects everybody. You go on Telegram, Instagram, whatever kind of thing. Naked departure, especially that. And you see what's happening here. If this act is brought into force, if that woman sets foot in Barbados, she's going to be arrested at the airport because what was allowed then, and the matter of, and worse yet, they want to be able to apply their Barbados laws overseas. So if you're overseas and you're a Barbadian and you're doing it, you're still caught by this act. And if you are on a Barbados registered ship or an airplane that's resident in Barbados and you send out something, you can be caught by this act. Just last week, I think it was, in Trinidad, what's his name, Warner, who the United States government was pursuing because they did not get the contract to stage the World Cup, and Warner helped steer it toward the UAE, I think it was, and the United States get vexed, lock up all the FIFA people, put them in jail, fine them. I know the Supreme Court come and say, but you can't do that. This ain't got nothing to do with you. You want to regulate a business outside of that, ain't no registered in the United States. It ain't got nothing to do with the United States. They commit a crime in the United States. They may transfer the money to the United States. So what are you doing? So now Warner is in a good position because his extradition got a halt. And what the United States Supreme Court is saying about FIFA and Warner and the United States government, this government don't want to implement something similar. Where it's going to go after our people, wherever the world you want, you can detect them. This government is a bully. So come out and support the march. It is about you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there, God
KEMAR,
willing.
yes. KEMAR, what do you say about what can you say to the people about this march? How important is this march to the people of Barbados on Saturday?
Well, I mean, if you don't come out and march for your own freedom of speech, then after when they try to implement these draconian laws and you want somebody to speak up for you, then well, you should not have that because we came out, we organized the marches, we put in ourselves out there. Don't my person is telling you that you got a degree to organize a march and represent you the people, right? We put ourselves out there, we risk our lives, we risk our livelihoods, Marcia. We risk not being able to earn money in this country because we care to represent for the issues of the people. And this cybercrime bill is one of the issues hitting right at the hearts of Barbados, not only here but abroad in the diaspora. Right, the diaspora supports the Marcia Week show heavily, and we will not want our brothers and sisters in the diaspora feeling the wrath of a dictatorship. Right, and I want to say something to the people in this country, Marcia, and those online watching, that the Lord could put in the hearts of any man, criminal or otherwise, the motivation and the vision to step forward and lead his people out of darkness, from in the doldrums, from under despotic leaders. The most simple man, Marcia, could be empowered to provide the light and the vision to lead our people out of darkness. And Saturday is just another one of those days, one of those instances where the Lord rests on your heart, Marcia, and the organizers of the march to come out and to stand up against oppression. Right? Tell me where. Right? Well, we know where. But some people believe that this is a little mini communist experiment going on here in Barbados, where they could replicate Nazi Germany all over again because somebody told them that we wanted our powerful dictatorships to rule Barbados. We've enjoyed credit voting for all of our lives, and I don't see it right now impractical or plausible without social unrest. The government seeking to take away the voice and take away the rights of the people in terms of enjoying freedom of speech within reason, not to defame, not to spread false allegations, or not to destroy people's character, but to be able to speak the truth to the people of this country without any minister or any all powerful person who don't want getting up there about the nefarious dealings that some of these people are doing against to the detriment of the people of this country. The young people, Marcia,
Yeah.
are mainly the ones who are into social media heavily, right? And if you take away the voices of the young people who don't really have a voice in other places, because it seems that you don't got a voice in political parties unless you got a degree, right? I saw somebody on the line saying that people are encouraging me to be a dropout. Another defamatory statement. So if I was into what the government was into, I could have probably sued that person,
Hurt your
right?
feelings.
Yeah, and embarrassing me, right? Talking things they didn't know about. But the point is, Caswell, that these minor instances based off feelings cannot be allowed to creep into our laws because people feel like somebody's trying to get at them or embarrass them, right? Our country, we pride ourselves to be more intelligent than that, right? On Saturday, especially all those bloggers, White Collar Crime and TBC, and Always Hustle, and all of the bloggers, Chase Fells, they need to be at the march on Saturday because it is them, along with the nation and Barbados today and all the news sites that use social media to be able to get their message across. And some of these underground social media sites, as well, usually breaks the news quicker and more accurate than the news. A prime example, if you read today's front page Sunday Sun,
Yes, that was your post. I saw it.
but look how they wrote it, skewed, right?
You know,
If you did
but
not see my post, you have never thought that we raised that issue, right? But they just didn't want to make the minister look bad. They should have said on the front page of today, right, that it was 180. It was 202 houses that the minister promised to build up at Pool, right? And the newspaper reported that they said they were going to build 180. But when you visit Pool, you see less than 30 structures, not even houses, all covered in bush, right?
Yeah,
So
actually there are 18, there are 18 structures there. 1-8.
you know,
18 structures.
so they're
Yeah.
actually following the show and what following your post, KEMAR, you are giving them the news. They're not going out there and doing it, and when you unearth it, they can't not say anything about it because they're gonna look bad. So they have to come in and then they pretend because they should have called you for a comment. Haven't been the person who came up there and posted these issues and stuff, and they saw it. But I got, you see the thing that you put up, I must have gotten it from about 20 people. And I am certain, probably more. And I am certain that if I got it so many times, the nation get it too. And that's the genesis of the story. So they're piggybacking on you and I give you credit for it. But I don't need the credit. I don't need the credit. But Kim, I want to
You
say
know,
something. Don't know that what you said. You said when you was as you start, you asking people to come and march for your freedom of speech. It is more than that. It is march for your freedom, because if you speak, you can get locked up too. 5 years in jail, $70,000. I mean, 5 years in jail, or 100,000, or $50,000, or 7 years in jail and $70,000. These are all fines in this act for exercising the same rights that Mayor Motley and the Barbados Labour Party exercise during the Democrat Labour Party thing. No, it is as much as 7 years in jail and $70,000, or $70,000, or both, for doing what they did. So people should see that and realize that these people are terrorists. They want to terrorize this country and try to silence us into their this administration, this Barbados Labour Party set of people. They're trying to terrorize these people into keeping them in office. Like you said, like you mentioned Hitler, and them like the right from the same player book. That's what they teach Macky Sall and all the other people want to do. They want to stay in office at any expense, because you know a lot of them were unemployable. So now that they are in government, they won't leave. If Barrow had taken that position, we would still be in a Democrat Labour Party thing under one of his people, and we would not have the Barbados Labour Party. And Barrow gave up when he thought that he was fairly beaten. Barrow stepped back and said, "Well, yes, the people have spoken. Well, they don't want the people to speak. They want to stop you from speaking, literally and figuratively. They don't want you to speak. They want you to sit down and shut up like drones. No, but not while I still have strength."
yeah. As Vihoy is saying, a lot of what we are seeing is a lot of what the people in China has been experiencing. It is a lot of what the North Koreans experience. This is the dark age. People need to stand up. And that is what we are saying on the show. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Come out on Saturday at 10 o'clock. You see, if you sit down right now and you decide that you're not going to do anything about it, right? And you just allow it, they do whatever they want to do. I'm telling you, a lot of us were going to be very, very sorry, because it's going to go, everything is going to go so fast. We would never believe we would be here where we are right now. It's gonna happen so quickly, and it needs, as unless the people rise up, right? Unless the people rise up, the people have to rise up. Don't forget, the government has all the seats. You have to remember that.
Marcia, I want to say
Yeah.
here that in all of these countries that practice this type of dictatorial behavior, there's something called elitism, where the political figures are now the most preeminent in society. So only the politicians have particular coverage, like what this bill does, criminalizes the entire island, but gives the politician a free pass to commit any act, commit any crime, and no member of the public could come out and speak the truth against any illegal act of a politician in this country, right? And we see that because in China and these places, right? You can't come out and criticize the government because there's one party, ain't it two parties? There's one party, and when ministers die, they ain't no such thing as no by election, and we the government picks whoever is going to sit in that seat, and you the people have to accept. You can't do or say anything about it because you know what the government does? Shut down your digital ID and say because of your political views, you ain't getting no services. You can't travel. You can't use the internet.
Yeah.
Right? And that is exactly where Barbados is headed. And we're seeing it not only in the government, but we're also seeing it in people who potentially want to be the government. That they're the only ones who would have the say. But we need to stand up against any person who's showing dictatorial tendencies from early, and tell them that the people of Barbados say no.
KEMAR, you
Yes.
hit the thing. You hit the thing on the head again. The nail right on the head. You said just now. I didn't even think of it until you start to speak. You said that the politicians are preeminent. When in the systems that they have in these countries, these countries like Russia and China and those places. You remember that? You remember saying something to that effect.
Yes,
But
yes,
but then but you must also remember that in the St. George by-election, Santa declared that she had pedigree. You remember? So that is where they're
Yes.
heading. That's where they're heading. She got this pedigree, so then she can be preeminent. She got pedigree. I remember when she put that when she talked about pedigree though, I went online and pull up her bag of pedigree dog food and stuff. Santa said she got dog food. But that's the only pedigree she could got. Let me tell you, you are so right. But let me just while I got the mic, I always refer people when they asking them to come and march to Martin Niemöller. He was a priest in Germany around the time. He was a German pastor. And he said, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That was Martin Niemöller during Hitler's time in Germany. So I could put another little line in there now and say, and next they came for the bloggers, but I was not a blogger, so I didn't speak out. But let me tell you something. We got a lot of bloggers around this place. We have a lot of them. We have a lot of people who go on social media and do their things. So you better learn from history. Come out and support your cause. It is not Marcia Week's cause. It is not Caswell Franklin or KEMAR's cause. It is your cause. We are giving you the opportunity to speak for yourselves. Stand up and let these people know we ain't taking that.
Yeah. Someone wrote something here. And I'm not sure what is meant by that. The person says, Saturday coming lovely. Something will be happening indeed. Can't wait. I will make sure I will be there. So I want to make sure that this is not a threat that is being put on here, because also just know, I won't call out the name of the person, that the police will be there as well. Okay, just know that the police will be there anytime we have our marches. One of our loyal opposition persons sent it to me, concerned about the comments in the chat. So, and I'm not going to remove it. Actually, we have a copy of the comment, and we're not going to remove it. Okay, so want to make sure that it is not something that that anybody feels that they could threaten anybody on here, because we are going to be at the march. Let this be the largest march ever. Let this be the largest march ever. Everybody needs to come out. We're going to make sure you have your water. All right, you can bring your own water, but we always provide water for everybody on
Somebody
that
already
march.
brought two
Okay.
cases, Marcia. Somebody already brought two cases and they're in the office. All right, so
Wow.
they're already
yeah,
there in the office on my little supermarket thing. They're right there. So whenever you're ready, they're there.
yeah.
You know?
Um,
That's how it. If God is for you, who can be against you? And
Yeah.
I'm saying, Barbadian, put the fear aside. Don't worry about that. If you have errands to run, do the errands in the week. Do your best to be out there on Saturday. We're going to put up a poster. If you see the poster, share it. If you see the poster, share it. One of the other things that we're going to do is we're going to create a letter. The same way that we had the press conference and we had that information you sent to your MPs, people are asking for letters to about this, to share their thoughts about this to their MPs. We're going to create a letter and that you can send to your MPs. And someone might say, well, they're not going to do anything. We want to put it on record that we told you that we had a problem. And, Mr. Franklin, some people like to make it seem as though we don't have any sense. And we are complaining about this cyber crime bill, and we're against, we're not, we want children to be groomed and pedophiles to mess with children. No, no, no. We already cleared that. We already made a statement about that on this show. There are parts of the bill that are very, very good and that need to be kept. Everybody understands that. What we're talking about is this overreaching of the government, right? The government reaching, overreaching. That's what we're talking. It's that kind of dictator. It's giving the young people would say it's giving dictatorship, right? And there are parts of it that's just too wide. It's like the child protection bill. It's like they open this net and just like throw this net out there. And we don't know if the
Mar-
politicians will use section 19 and 20 to be being victim. Yes, go ahead, Kimar.
yes. Know that you said you were speaking. You can remember when Kurt Humphrey came to this Parliamentary Reform Commission. Kurt Humphrey was saying that they want to bring a new parliamentary system, and that parliamentary system will now include 7 national MPs, who will also be added on to the ballot. Um, let me just say that we should not even think about anything like that, because they are taking that straight from a country called Namibia in Africa. That system of national MPs is so disastrous, right? Because those MPs are not necessarily they are chosen, right? We had a situation where an MP, a young lady, a young attorney, whose name is Patience Mansour, and she got a seat in Parliament because the president or the prime minister, whoever, just appointed her when one of his ministers died, right? And completely bypassed the rationale for by election. So there was no by election. She was just appointed to the seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're hearing Mr. Humphrey comment on he wants to bring this to Barbados, but he neglected to say that part, right? So this new parliamentary reform idea, and we need to watch these things carefully, Marcia, because they are going to want to turn our constitution and change it into a full-on dictatorship. Because I can bet you that if they had the power to appoint MPs, Nero, to hire and fire MPs, Nero would have been out of Parliament long time ago because they would have fired him. And we need to guard against democracy to ensure that we maintain the right to free and fair elections in this country, because in countries across Africa, specifically in Namibia, there weren't any elections. When seats become vacant is when you die or you resign, and they do not go back or they don't go to the polls, period. The leader appoints that person, and that is the ultimate form of dictatorship. And based off what Kurt Humphrey said, they want to bring that to Barbados, because he was the third or the second vice chairman of the Barbados Party when he made that intervention. I didn't know it didn't just come from him. It had to have approval, Marcia, because even when Harris speaks, you have to vet the
Mm-hmm.
questions. You just can't ask the prime minister or ask them many questions. They have to know what you're going to ask before you ask it on the microphone. And I know that he had to ask permission before he came to that parliamentary review committee to give that submission. So we really need to guard against that.
Yes. I'm seeing, thank you, KEMAR. I'm seeing Apostle Canterbury in, and let me just see if we can hear him. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you doing?
Great, 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 wonderful. We can hear you. That's wonderful. Good to see you tonight. How was
Great.
church today?
Oh, we had a fantastic day today. Just incredible. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I thought of you as soon as I read certain sections of this cybercrime bill. I don't know if you saw sections 19 and 20 in particular.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why I contacted you, because I wanted to know from you, sir. One, have you seen those sections, and what are your thoughts about it?
Well, they're coming after you for sure. They're coming after you and Mr. Franklin and KEMAR, all of us that been making it difficult for them to move forward with their plans and ideas here in Barbados. So that's basically what that's all about. But they on a greater scheme of things, this goes to show Barbadians the mistake that they made at the last two elections. And again, we're seeing over and over the blatant disrespect that they have for the public of Barbados, and the fact that they're always coming with these very sudden and dangerous uh, laws and regulations and all of these stipulations that they're attempting to put on the public of Barbados. And we have a responsibility, not only as ministers but also as citizens of Barbados, to stop this, to stand up and be vocal, and to let them know that we're not going to have this type of activity in Barbados. I'll tell you the reality of this, though, but on a greater scale, this is going to backfire. I mean, everything that they have done so far has basically backfired. And one of the things that the Lord showed me about their operation in 2024 is that nothing they do will work. He's totally destroyed their technology for 2024. And it's so crazy because I haven't seen Miss Cattle do anything like that in 6 years. I'm trying to figure out where she's now come from all of a sudden. But the reality of you know coming to the public and saying to us that you want to implement these things, you can take away our freedom of speech. You can have the police to come and into people's homes and premises and take away their laptops and their devices. They have to understand that number one, Facebook and Google and YouTube, they're not owned by the people of Barbados. They're not owned by the government of Barbados either. And for you to do that, to want to operate with the people of Barbados in such a way that is already a huge level of disrespect to our people, then they have to be very careful that this does not turn around and backfire on them. And I'm going to quickly prove my point where this is concerned. The reality is, Madam Weeks, is that if they use their social media platforms or their YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and they say anything or do anything on their social media platforms that we, the people of Barbados, we decree or we consider it to be defamatory or disrespectful, remember they're the government. They will owe each citizen of Barbados $70,000 if we sue them. So this is going to backfire, and as I said, they can take this legislation and shove this up Pluto's orbit, because this is not going to manifest in Barbados at no level. Now, the other element is that we did not even hear from the Commissioner of Police stating that we're not, the Barbados Police Force, we're not designed for that. Okay? The government would have to create their own, just like they did during COVID. They created their own network and their own unit to deal with these matters. This is not a job for the Barbados police force to be entering people's homes to take up laptops and all these different things. But the consciousness that I really need our public in Barbados right now to wake up and to realize that we're dealing with a very sick government. We're dealing with a very, very demonic government. I've been saying this over and over and over and over. And, people are waking up very slowly, but not fast enough to understand that if we, the people of Barbados, if we don't move now to move this government to get rid of, what they're doing and what their plans are, we're not going to come into the future of our nation, which is what they're trying to amputate. Now, I have a few more things that I want to say about this cybercrime bill that hopefully, if someone is listening on behalf of the government, they'll probably take this back to them. But I'm going to show you, as we discuss here tonight, why this is going to backfire and why it's going to create a bigger problem for them as a government going forward.
Yeah. Someone is saying here, that there are aspects of this bill that could affect churches and pastors and anybody who uses the social media to preach, etc. Do you see it like that? Do you agree?
Oh yes. I mean, especially in here in Barbados, I've been very, very vocal, as you know, like yourself, against the whole COVID situation, against a lot of the things that they've been doing here in Barbados. I've not held my mouth, and I've used my platform to speak to a lot of the ills that I see, which is the responsibility that I have as a spiritual leader. I have to make sure that in Barbados we speak to national things that affects not only the Christian community, but also the entirety of the population of Barbados. And then especially I have to be able to speak up for those individuals who themselves, they don't have a voice. So I see this as, again, not just an attack on the people of Barbados, but it is an attack on the church as well too, which means that they are, again, attacking the church. They're coming after the church. And this is something that I will not stand for, and I cannot stand for it. And I'm hoping that we have more ministers of God here in Barbados who realize that we are in a battle right now. We're at war. And this cybercrimes bill has literally declared war on the churches in Barbados. And we have to respond to that.
Yeah. On Saturday, there is a march that is happening on Saturday. There are lots of Christians who say, well, unless it's a march for Jesus, I'm not involved in marches. What as an apostle, a pastor, a prophet in this country, a spiritual leader, what do you say to people who will want to stay home on Saturday when this march is happening because it's not a march for Jesus?
Oh, well, any march that Christians are going to be involved in is always a march for Jesus. You can't get away from that. The specifics of the march might not necessarily be all Bible, and church related, but we have to understand that the people of Barbados, we are the government. We elect the ones that are supposed to serve us. So the church itself is very heavily involved in any aspect of government. We have to understand that. We're not just here to sit down and just have a church service and clap our hands and hear a message. We have to be very, very vocal and also involved in matters that will help to bring about a level of balance and sustainability within our nation. The problem that I have, though, Madam Weeks, is that a lot of our Christian community and a lot of our leadership, they love this party, okay? And that is a big issue. And this is why we cannot get beyond dealing with these matters, because, this element of loving a party and loving a particular leader over loving the future that God has for your nation, this is where we are. And many times, again, remember, this is the same individual who stood on the back of a truck and said when the Democratic Labour Party was in power, that we should be able to speak in our own nation without the fear of being victimized. So how is it that you are now coming after making that big, bold statement to the public in Barbados? You're now coming to refute that and to demonstrate to us that you were just speaking words. You really had no real desire of manifesting that as our government. So again, what we need now is for people to be more conscious about the future of our nation, where we're going to go as a nation, and stop letting these people disconnect us from the reality of what Barbados can actually eventuate into. And I think it's so important that the Christian community be at the helm of what is happening in our nation right now. And we have been quiet for too long. And I believe now that they've attacked us again with this cybercrime bill, now that they've gotten to the point where, again, you know, the police giving them the kind of a power to just enter premises and even churches. That might even now happen at churches while we're live streaming. So this is a very, very serious situation. And I think right now our Christian community, we have to really, really pay attention to the truth that this administration that we're under, they need to go. I mean, all of them. And I think they're well-meaning individuals within the party. They're lawyers within the party. And I cannot believe that people who are educated, who we believe have common sense, would actually sit and discuss and come up with a bill like this and actually want to take it to Parliament to bring this on the people of Barbados. This is a group of very sick individuals, and you know, the people of Barbados must rise up and come together right now. We need to make a demand. We had enough of you guys. It's time for you to go. Can't wait for another 3 or 4 years before another election, because we have no idea what else these folk are going to do. Okay, so I think now is our time to move. Now is our time to act.
Yeah. Someone is asking here, they're asking if you, well, before I read what they ask, I want to ask you, you don't have to answer on air, but it'd be great to have you as one of those speakers at the march. We're not going in Independence Square, but we've developed our own style, Mr. Franklin, where we are speaking on the truck.
Okay.
All right, because we do that to cut down expenses, But I know Apostle Breedy said she's gonna come, and I'm gonna. It'll be interesting to see her up on top of that truck. But we would love for you to come and and to speak to Barbados. I believe that this particular, as soon as I saw it, I thought of both of you. Honestly, and I said, somebody said, "Be careful, Minister. You may be embarrassing the government." So I want to ask if you would come speak on the truck, and then someone else asked in the chat, "Are you going to invite your church to come out at the march?"
Of course, I think right now the reality has come to the fore in terms of what we have to do as the Christian community, and again, I will say this: the time has come for the Christian community in Barbados to lead the fight against this regime. We cannot say back. I have so many individuals and ministers after it first came out. I was in Trinidad at the time, and they asked, "Well, Apostle, what are we going to do?" And I'm saying, "What are we going to do?" Well, I'm only doing what I've always been doing, speaking out against these issues that have come to the public here in Barbados. But now we have to do the work of not just marching, Marcia. We have to make a demand that these people go. All right. Now, we have to realize that the only type of language these folk understand is power. Whether that power is spiritual, whether it's coming from God, or whether it's coming from men and women of God, or whether that power is coming through the people. That's the only language they understand. And until Barbadians realize, and until the Christian community realize that it is our responsibility to set the tone and to build the type of effectiveness in terms of speaking to the powers that be, to let them know that we are not going to stand for this. We're not going to sit down idly by and just let this happen. We're going to come at you. We're going to fight against you to make sure that our nation does not come under this type of hellish activity. And I want to make sure that I say this hellish activity that they're constantly bringing to the people of Barbados. But this is not going to work. I can tell you that it's not going to work.
Yeah. You know, see, Mr. Franklin, I want to ask you to, do you have any questions you want to ask Mr. Apostle Canterbury? I'm losing my words and my thoughts. I'm watching the chat at this time.
No, I don't want to ask a question. Well, probably it cannot be a question, because I believe I'm not a minister of the gospel. I don't know enough about the Bible to claim that right. But I believe what I do is God's work. When I take care of His people who can't help themselves, you know, when I go and represent a person who couldn't afford a lawyer, who couldn't afford me, and I represent them, and I do it because if I didn't represent them, nobody else would, and then they'll win. You know, I believe I'm doing God's work. I'm taking care of His people. So when you hear people say they're not going to march because it is not God's work, no, God's work doesn't mean that you only preach. Taking care of your people, God's people, is God's work.
Yes, sir.
Speaking out for God's people who can't speak up for themselves is God's work. You don't have to do it from a pulpit. So I don't understand. I just try to find out if you agree with my thing, because that's what I believe. I believe that I doing God's work when I help people who can't help themselves.
Right. Well, I completely agree with that, Mr. Franklin. You know, we help people on different levels. Okay. And sometimes we tend to believe that because somebody may be doing it on a higher level or greater level, that, you know, it's not help. But we are all designed to help individuals on different levels, and you're helping people here in Barbados on a level that I actually can't. I mean, you know, that's where you come in. That's where your forte is. But we're all working collectively at the same time to bring about the level of, you know, justice and righteousness that our people need to have. And unfortunately, it's not manifesting. There, you know, many powers that are still fighting and trying their best to stop the movement that we need to have going forward into making Barbados what it is supposed to be. Now, I'm going to say this this particular aspect at this point, because I don't think that our government has sat down and really thought this whole cyber crimes bill through. I don't think they have. I think this is another attempt to destabilize the people of Barbados so that they can carry out their assignment. And I know that there are a lot of individuals who are primarily afraid of, you know, speaking. And I know there are individuals within the Barbados Labour Party who are aware of a lot of the ills that are being brought to the people of Barbados, but they themselves are afraid to speak out. I mean, we've never had a government where out of the 29 persons that have been elected, you only hear about 3 or 4 or 5 individuals of that entire government actually speak to the public or actually say anything. So we begin to realize that it's a carefully structured system. I mean, you haven't heard Ms. McConey since that whole situation at the Spring Memorial School. I mean, you've hardly heard her. I mean, you hear sometimes Mr. Jordan, Mr. Abrams, you know, Ms. Bradshaw, but it's just a small cadre of folk that you keep hearing out of this political party, but you do not hear the mass of them. It's like they themselves are under control. And I know personally that many of them are not happy. And this bill is also designed to block and to stop many of them from actually speaking out against this government as well. And so I want to make sure that, just a moment, I want to make sure that we do what is necessary, even to have protection right across the board, whether the response is governmental, or whether it's from the public, or whether it's from the church, or from um, the commercial industry, or even if it's coming from someone outside of Barbados. And you want to tell me that if someone um, outside of Barbados, they actually send a video to me about something that they have found out about Barbados, that I'm wrong for looking at that or viewing that information
for receiving it.
on my device? You are you kidding me to believe that you would actually come with that type of nonsense? And a matter of fact, if the lady Sherry Veronica, if she did not post her stuff, we would have never known that the gentleman in question was lying to Barbados about the entire situation. So what about if someone is actually putting the truth out there? Then you're going to tell me that you're going to come against an individual for putting the truth on a social media platform? I mean, this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
So,
because he's embarrassed. If you embarrass him, it says if you embarrass, you know, you hurt his feelings, that kind of thing, you can be
but
charged for it.
but here's my point. You
Truth be
embarrass the
damned.
entire you embarrass Barbados by behaving the way you behave off of our country. Okay, in a way you broke the national pledge. Okay, you pledge allegiance to the country Barbados, to the flag, to honor, to uphold their honor, and by your living to do credit to your nation. So he embarrassed Barbados. Okay, he embarrassed Barbados, and then to come on social media and lie to the public, the entire world actually, about what happened. Where's the embarrassment? I don't think putting right out there or putting information that is accurate can be classified as embarrassment. You have already embarrassed the nation. And for our government to come to just deal with the element of the use of a device, a laptop or a phone, or a laptop or a tablet or whatever, that in your opinion, listen, so many lies were told to Barbadians during COVID. So many lies were told.
Right. Make sure you don't use the V word, okay? Careful with the V word. Yeah. Again,
Well,
another situation.
You know that's going to come up at some point in time. Okay, you know that's going to come up. But
Yeah.
the reality is,
it comes up all the time, and the last time they took me off. So what I'm trying to do, I've lost 3 channels because
right.
of that. I'm trying to keep this on for the Barbadian people. So I'm not
Okay.
afraid of it. It's just that I want to have something open for the Barbadian people, and it's this
Okay.
channel. Yeah.
I'll do my best to make sure that you're protected, ma'am. I'll do my best. But I'm saying there's so much embarrassment that has gone on in Barbados that we've seen on social media. A lot of it. Okay, and nothing was done about it. But I think that one of the elements that we're dealing with here is that this government has signed on to so many conventions that they are doing their best to make Barbados the guinea pig for everything that needs to be done. And I know that the rest of the Caribbean, they're watching to see what we in Barbados are going to do. If we're going to sit back and let this happen, or if we're going to fight it and stop it. They're waiting. They're waiting to see what happens in Barbados. You have nations right now around the world, and by this bill, you've already embarrassed Barbadians, because other nations and other individuals in other nations are asking, what type of stupidity is this? How can a government of a small country, 166 square miles, how can you guys think to go to parliament to pass a bill like this in a country like Barbados? And they're countries with millions of people who have not even been thinking on this level. So I know that they're pushing these different agendas in Barbados because they're attempting to make Barbados the guinea pig, okay, for what is supposed to come in the Caribbean. They're constantly pushing this agenda, and consistently you see our leader putting these individuals to do all of her dirty work. These folks don't have a clue what is really going on. They have no clue what's happening. But we, the people of Barbados, and those of us in the church community who recognize that this is an attack on our sovereignty, we have to rise up, and we have to say something to this government, and we have to tell them we're not just marching against you. Our marches this time says we want you to go. We're tired of you. We had enough. And this is what has to be said to them, because they are not interested in Barbados's future. They're interested in the IMS future, the World Economic Forum. They're interested in the World Bank's future, the UN's future, but they are not interested in the God future for this nation. And I've come to the point where I've been saying this over and over. I said this is the most demonic government we've ever had in our nation. And I will keep saying that until we get our people to rise up and make it a declaration. We've had enough. This is as far as we're going to allow you to go.
Yeah. You know, I want to thank you for your time, but KEMAR, I wanted to ask KEMAR, do you have any comment or any questions for Apostle Canterbury before he departs? I know today's Sunday and you had church and all kinds of things, and we so appreciate your time. KEMAR, is there anything you want to ask the pastor before he goes?
Yeah, well, good night to you, Apostles Canterbury.
Good night, sir.
Good to always hear from you. You know, I'm empowered when I hear you speak. So it's really good to hear you on the show. I just wanted to make a comment in line with what you were saying about the church offering representation, and bring it back to Marcia Reeds and the Praise Academy's disqualification and censoring of their dance and their play, right? Every church is not sitting up and watching that and taking that as an example, right? To say, well, we are under attack as well, because the church, there's no church on this earth that could come and tell me they believe in more than 2 genders, right? There's no church that can say that and still be a church of Jesus, right? So if that can happen on a micro level, she can even be persecuted by a sitting senator, attacked, and said that it was not in good taste and some other adjectives they use. Imagine when the church gets up and starts to preach the word of the Lord to push back on the agenda. They already classified it. It's called hate speech, hatred.
Right.
And it goes against the transgender and the LGBT and all the other groups included in that, right? The truth of the church and the word of the Lord, when you speak that, they consider it to be hate speech, right? And discriminating against other people. So all of the pastors, all of the denominations, Anglican, Catholic, Adventist, Moravian, it doesn't matter which denomination you're from. As long as you preach the word of the Lord, that is considered to be hate speech, according to these people, right?
Exactly.
And every church don't stand up. Every church don't stand up and learn from what happened to Praise Academy of Dance in terms of being discriminated against with that play. Then this is the end of the church. The church now has to fall in line, and it was prophesied that there will be a mixture of church and state in the days, and you can't tell the other from the other, right? And we're seeing that even more with the Prime Minister appointing 2 spiritual advisors, right? Trying to give
those are just advisors.
Right? But it gives the connotation that there's Christian acceptance of the agenda, right? Because if a Christian spiritual advisor could advise them to bring the cybercrime bill, then what are we to think? What are observers to think, right? So when they continue to roll out this agenda, and these Christian advisors, along with the fact that they just put a reverend in the Senate at the parliament
Right.
give this false flag doctrine that there's, and you know how they will spread it, that there's nationwide confirmation of the agenda by the Christian community, and that the Christian community fully agrees, based off the sports persons they have that are in there, that they
Right.
fully agree, and they are able to pass this bill to shut down the church and shut down the bloggers and shut down us.
Right.
Then that achieves the agenda from the government to demoralize the country, to take the same religion, but I say take God out of everything, or they try to take him out of the anthem, right? They try to take him out of the Constitution. Remember they try to take him out of the schools. Remember
Right.
they saying that they having no longer having prayers but mindfulness sessions. What was the mindfulness session?
Right. Right. Right.
Right? So the church in itself need to be more pragmatic out there with the message. I'm not saying that don't preach to the word, but the church must become a little more modern in
Right.
terms of having an education arm to teach the congregation. Not saying we don't need to understand biblical stories, but teaching the congregation about the cybercrime bill and the implications that it will have for your life as a Christian and for your life as a person living in Barbados. You need to mix the education that we got from Christ in the Bible and use it to empower yourself to stand up against regimes like this, because most Christians will say, well, these are the last days and these things have to happen. Yes, maybe they have to happen, but the Lord didn't say don't stand up and fight.
Right. Well,
Right?
again, last days, that is something that is pretty much neither here or there. And KEMAR, I want to, before I go, I want to, thank you for the work you've been doing. Been doing an amazing job, to be honest with you. And thank God for your bravery and the insight that He's given you to, along with Marcia and Mr. Franklin, to bring these very potent level of information and intelligence that we need here in Barbados. So I want to really thank you guys for doing the work that you have been doing. I know they've been at Mr. Franklin ever since he walked out of Parliament. So, and I know they've been at Marcia for as long as she's been on the air, and they've been at myself for a very long time. But the reality is that I am a citizen of Barbados. I was born here. They can't change that. They can't take that from me. I'm not fleeing to any other country to be safe. I want them to know that I'm going to be in Barbados, and I'm going to be doing everything that I can do to make sure that Barbados becomes a very safe, productive, vibrant, godly, and prosperous nation. And I do want to say this before I close tonight. This bill is going to backfire on them, and this is going to be the downfall of this administration that we've been waiting on. And if they think that this bill coming to Barbados is going to put them in a better position, I guarantee them it will not. It will not put them in any better position. And again, we the people, we're going to stand up and we're going to fight them. We're going to stop this bill. We're going to stop this bill by the help of the Lord. We're going to stop it. And, as I said earlier, they have to understand that we have been embarrassed during COVID, embarrassed with the lockdowns. We've come out of COVID. We've realized that a lot of what was done to us during COVID was fake. A lot of it was false. A lot of propaganda, a lot of this stuff happening. All of the lockdowns and lockups and, going to shop only on the day of the letter of your last name. All of that we suffered. All of that we suffered as a nation. And we have come out of that and realized now that a lot of this stuff that happened was huge embarrassment and huge propaganda to the people of Barbados. So it means then that they cannot come on social media platform and ever tell us a lie. Because the moment that we find out that they have lied to us, then the government that is in charge of the entirety of Barbados, they owe every citizen in Barbados $70,000 or 7 years in jail. So I'm telling you, if they really want to push this, they can go right on ahead and push it. But I guarantee you, this is not going to work in their favor. And I'm hoping that we have more individuals, more ministers that will stop hiding behind the bush and come out openly and make it clear. Marcia, I want to make it abundantly clear right now. Um, in terms of marching, the march must be not to stop this bill. The march must be, we want these people to go. Okay, I'll come and I will be supportive of this, but I want my stance on this matter to be clear. I personally have had enough of this Barbados Labour Party. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of the kind of leadership. I'm tired of the type of systems that they've implemented here, the things they've allowed to happen, the whole situation, embarrassment at the Spring Memorial School. And these folk do not have the wisdom of God. The whole embarrassment with coming and saying by January 31st, all ID cards, you know, they're over with and you must get the new one. Then to come back and tell us, oh, that's over. You don't have to do that anymore. We've seen that with them over and over. They implement one thing, they come back a week later and they change it. This is basically going to be the same thing. This is not going anywhere. This cybercrime bill is stuck in the mud as far as I'm concerned. And I want them to understand. And Marcia, I'm telling you, I'm coming, but my stance is clear. I do not want to be in a Barbados ran by the Barbados Labour Party. Okay, I've had enough of it, and I do not see Barbados going into any foreseeable greater future being led by this current leader and being under this current administration. It's the most demonic government we've ever had, and they've consistently used this whole system of witchcraft and fear and dread coming on the people of Barbados to carry out their agenda. Why the people are scared and why the people are questioning and worrying on brass tacks and, you know, trying to figure out what are we going to do next. They're implementing their own plans and their own laws. And I want to make it clear as a man of God in Barbados, I do not accept them as my leader. I do not accept them as my government. And I will stay under the leadings of the Lord until God moves in this nation in such a way that we have the right government, until we have the right constitution, because they do not have a constitution. So they are not under any type of systemic legal precedents to bring any laws like this to Barbados. And I'm going to stand up as a man of God. I'm making it abundantly clear. I'm putting it out there for whoever is watching on their behalf to let them know where Apostle Scanterbury stands. I've had enough with them. And seriously, we will not have a future under the present Barbados Labour Party.
Yes. Thank you so much, Apostle Scanterbury. And as someone said, that you know, we've said it. I know you haven't been to a lot of our marches. You've been at a couple rally, but on the marches, it has been said all the time. People want this government to go, and so when you come and you're speaking, make sure you say that. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am.
And it will go right. I believe everybody there will be saying that. We sometimes have placards with it on it. So we'll get a placard made especially for you with that on it. Okay. That we will get,
Okay.
we will get one especially for you made. But we are saying the same thing you are saying.
Thank you,
We're
ma'am.
saying the same
Made at Unity.
Unity Workers Union, which
Thank you,
has
Mr.
been
Franklin. Thank you.
which has been in the poll. It has been polled as the most trusted union in Barbados.
Right.
The Unity
Right.
Workers Union.
Yes,
Then
ma'am.
over 70% of Barbadians say it is the most trusted union in Barbados, and that's where we will be making the placards
Yes,
as
ma'am.
per
Okay.
usual. Thank you so
Oh,
much, Apostle, and I hope to see you on Saturday. And yes, we will see you on Saturday. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming.
yes, ma'am. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you for having me on your show. Mr. Franklin, blessings on you. KEMAR,
Yeah,
stay strong.
thank you
And I
very
will see
much.
you guys on Saturday.
God bless.
Many thanks.
Wow. Awesome, awesome. Always powerful to hear him. But we have this wonderful young lady here, Mr. Franklin, with us tonight. Um, Miss Maxine McLean here with us. And I'm so happy that that you hang on. We're going a little later than we
That's all
normally.
right.
You're taking up Kemar's spot. Kemar normally coming at the 9 o'clock, but
That's
he
all
was on
right.
early today.
That's all right. It just shows you
Yeah,
how much information you have to share, how much work you're doing to edify, to educate, inform, sensitize, whatever Barbadians. So, and I was
yes,
listening
yes.
and shaking my head, especially when I thought about the things that I want to say. you know, it is amazing how you in the case of this piece of legislation, somebody asked what's going to happen. I will hazard a guess it's going to be pulled back. This
Mm.
cyber was it cyber crime, is
Cyber
it?
crime bill.
The cyber crime bill. I believe they will pull it back. Listening to all that has been said, looking at the legislation, I say to the Prime Minister, apply it to your activities between 2008 and 2018 and tell me how many charges would be brought against persons who supported your cause. Because basically what we saw was the use of social media. I mean, I'm not going to repeat all that you heard. KEMAR mentioned it. Caswell can tell you how what they did over the decade that the previous administration was in office, what they continue to do. People said all kinds of things. It really didn't matter. They might have distressed people. Was it caused discomfort, caused pain and suffering, whatever? But anyhow, I think that you know. You want me to go ahead, Marcia? And
Yes,
or
go right ahead because
okay,
I brought you Kimar. Let me just say something here
right.
that Kimar was the one who brought this to the attention of everybody about these houses in Hope, the Hope project, and specifically in Pool. Am I saying that right? Is it Pool
Pool, yes,
St.
pool like
John?
a pool.
Yeah, right. Pool St. John. Um, and it's quite interesting. It caused me to go and to do some research, and I've asked you to come to just to add on to what Kimar has done so far with this with concerning
This
this
hopeless
project.
situation. I call it a
It's
hopeless
a hopeless
situation.
situation.
Yes. And the reason I say so
So go
because
right ahead.
and I want to say thank you very much to KEMAR because in true researcher style, he has been pursuing issues and getting to the bottom of a number of things. And what I thought I would do, having seen those pictures, I mean, it reminds me of the steel houses that we spoke about, which were supposed to be erected very quickly, and years after they're not. And it's
STEAL.
yes, that, and because it's that steel and grass. Um, and so I went and I said, let me go and see what this whole project was supposed to do. Okay. Um, and it makes for interesting reading. I sent you an article because this was a project that was supposed to have houses constructed in St. John, in Lancaster, St. James, and I think there was supposed to be an element in St. Lucie. And if you read or if you go and study the company. There's a company, or there was a company as of an article on November the 2nd, 2022, in a publication called Business View Caribbean. It provided some explanation about this entity. And I want to share that, because to listen or to go and read and to view their website with all the beautiful pictures and images and so on, and then to look at what we saw highlighted by KEMAR, I mean, they were lovely. There were all kinds of promises. And basically, this company, HOPE, means the following, colleagues and persons online: home ownership providing energy Inc. That's HOPE Inc. And I quote from that article that I referred to there. You see the Prime Minister, and I believe a man called Mr. Tony Hoyos, and a team of persons doing a tour. Now, home ownership providing energy Inc. is and I quote, a project by the government of Barbados providing affordable hurricane resilient homes at below market rates. It goes on to say that the targeted persons, it targeted workers earning no more than 4,000 Barbados in one instance. It says net per month, who do not currently own a home. So this is supposed to be a project for first-time home owners, so people who are anxious to get into their homes. Now, according to Tony Hoyos, who was chairman of this Hope company, Hope Inc., at the time, and I am quoting the article, which is quoting him, or quoting him as quoted in the article. And I quote: the Prime Minister and her economic team initially created this plan, to reduce the cost of housing for teachers, police, and nurses earning less than Barbados $4,000. As I said, he chaired it. How it works: the killer application, this is his words, of the project is the free land provided to applicants, which Hoyer says is not as crazy as it sounds. But this is so funny. But it's not funny. It is really a crazy explanation of things. And this is what he said about this so-called free land that people are supposed to be getting as part of that project. And the article quotes him as saying, Hope Inc. gives away the land in exchange for 20 years of using your rooftop to generate solar energy. We sat down and did the calculations and realized that the revenues from energy generated from these rooftops over 20 years would more than cover the cost of the land we are giving away. So I'm going to stick a pin right there, Marcy, before I get to the incomplete houses. What kind of gimmickry is that? What kind of nonsense is it? You're telling me, on the one hand, we're giving away land, but then he, as a business person, sat down with whoever else is involved in Hope Inc. and did a calculation, because if you remember the pictures, it showed you images of houses with solar panels on them, right? And so what they're saying is that for 20 years, we are going to use your rooftops, generate electricity, sell that electricity, make money from it. And according to him, and I read it again, we sat down and did the calculations and realized that the revenues from energy generated from those rooftops over 20 years would more than cover the cost of the land we are giving away. Now, I want to use some figures, because when I looked at that, remember, this is called Hope. Back at the start of the David Thompson administration, the government came up with a project called housing every last person. And what they did was to identify areas of land sufficient to generate, in the first instance, 500 house lots, which were supposed to be sold at $5 per square foot. Now, if those pieces of land were, let's say 6,000, because 6,000 is a average size, a person would have gotten a 6,000 lot for $30,000. Now, I am not sure what size lots the Hope project has, because I might get into trouble with this, but it is a legislation yet, so nobody can't do me anything. But this project, so they're saying that for 20 years. Now, if the piece of land costs about 30,000, you are talking about 20 and 10, 20 and 10 is 30, a thousand and something dollars a year. Okay. And I can tell you that based on the calculations, and if I had more time, I would have really gotten highly, very much more into this. But I can tell you that the kind of revenues that would be generated from electricity generated by those that project, the use of those roofs, would be more than probably twice the cost of the land. So don't tell me that you're giving away land. And then, so that's one consideration, that they're bamboozling people with this notion that you are going to give them this land. So that was one. So if that is the case, and you said that it would more than generate the revenue, so they think, why would you make it 20 years rather than turning it over? Because, so that was one of the big concerns to me, that here there's a housing project that was supposed to do all these things. Now, when I look at these images, I ask myself, and I'm going to speak to Lancaster after I make this point. I ask myself, why have they stopped the project? Who were the contractors? Were they subcontractors? What were the problems? These houses, remember, were supposed to have panels and so on them, generating renewable energy, solar energy. Did they have proper contracts negotiated to supply the energy to Barbados Light and Power? So in essence, we now have to go and ask ourselves, what really went wrong? And perhaps did they start out wrong and found themselves stuck? And now we have this kind of money sitting there, because you see the numbers of units that were started and so on. So my concern really and truly with that is what really happened there. Now, this is only one problem that we highlighted here. The other one we would have heard in the news, because these are houses that are incomplete. On the other side now of this Hope initiative, if you went to Lancaster, and in looking at it, I went and I did some reading, and in an article of October the 10th, 2023 in Barbados Today, an article by Sharia Brathwaite. She was talking about housing units under the same Hope initiative that were constructed in Lancaster. And I will share something from that article, because it speaks to delays of a different kind, but also, to my mind, something that contradicts what they say they were supposed to be doing on this project. And it said the housing project faces occupancy delays, but Sutherland being Minister Dwight Sutherland, who Minister Housing, being referred to in the article, anticipate October move in. So in other words, he expects that Minister said in the article to have reported that, and I quote from the article, not a single house in the home ownership providing energy, that's Hope housing project in Lancaster, St. James, has been occupied after the initiative was launched last year. Now, this initiative was launched on April the 23rd, 2022. And this article that I'm referring to, which the minister said not a house has been occupied, was October the 10th, 2023. And this comes against a background where, if you go and read a document I sent to you, Marcia, on this Hope Inc., they were talking about a new business model, which should have meant a very smooth, seamless rolling out of the first, the sale of these projects, these houses, these properties. So, as he said, that not a house had been occupied, and as I indicated in the article, it says that the Lancaster project officially opened on April the 23rd, 2022. At the time of the opening, there were 30 approved applicants, with the first two individuals selecting their house spots on June 25th, the same year, 2022. Out of the 154 houses at Lancaster, the minister indicated that 57 were ready for occupancy. Delays, he said, were due to delays in terms of the resolution of utility and banking issues. Now, recognize that that so-called delay comes against the backdrop where, if you go back to the article where the Mr. Tony Hoyos is speaking about the project, he spoke of a business model which was different from the traditional mortgages. He talked about a seamless process of application and so on, which would make you believe, as a reader or as a prospective homeowner, that you would have gotten through the whole process quickly. And the notion of a house sitting unoccupied for months on end would not have happened. And I will end by this, because when I looked at this, I asked myself, what was it? And their governments come and they change policy, but the truth is, when you look at some of these lands, the same St. John land, back in 2011, I remember as a leader of government business in the Senate leading off a land resolution where the government was vesting lands in St. John, and those lands were at Cherry Grove, at Henley, at Poole, in St. George, at Todd's, in St. Lucie, at some place called Coconut Hall. And these were supposed, as I say, to provide these lots at $500 and would have given the persons the opportunity to build what they wanted. So for me, Marcia, when I look at what KEMAR brought to light and which the newspaper kind of danced around today, and I think you also did a site visit itself to go and see, you went to see what was happening. This whole thing is consistent with a whole set of problems of inefficiency, of poor planning, of wastage of limited financial resources, of frustration for people. You had the emergency houses where they did not go to Guyana or Suriname or Belize to get hard, lumber to replace people's wooden houses. You went all the way to China. And when I think about it, I can't help but refer to something. I remember when we said we were going to open an embassy in China, the late Prime Minister, when Arthur said, oh, you're going to be taking a slow boat to China, but he didn't realize that slow boat was going to be bringing back houses, In all seriousness, it makes you wonder, how does the government go about doing these things? And my worry is that in all the other things that they're looking to do to frustrate citizens, there's money sitting down wasted, but also there's money sitting in people's pockets who probably have been paid. Because if you go into the article that spoke of the company back in 2023, it was 22, the guy, Mr. Hoyos, was talking about the model. In fact, let me pull it up here, where he was talking about how this company was supposed to be a not-for-profit company, but he was explaining how they were going to make money. Hope Inc. business model. And I'm going to read this because it makes me ask the question, where does the money go, etc. According to this, the original entity, and this was supposed to be a government entity, but he was chairman on the board or whatever. It says, although Hope Inc. is not a for-profit entity, the project must make business sense to be sustainable. Hoyos argues that although the project does not focus on profit, it is based on a sustainable business model. Our first revenue source is a $1,000 administration fee we charge for each approved mortgage, which, although less than 1% of the total home cost, translates to around $1 million per year based on the number of projected homes. This amount pays for the program's running costs, and we will be nice to see what the running costs are. The next revenue stream is the green bonds we plan to raise from the solar generated from the home's roofs. This money will pay back the cost of the land. The net cost to government for our business is therefore nothing, because it is a self-replenishing venture that will not drain the central government's monies in any way. Having spoken to delays in construction, having spoken to delays in turning over houses or finalizing mortgages or whatever, contrary to what was promised in that article, and I suggest people go find it online if they want. And then my question is, what monies have been expended? Who has benefited from that? And what is the plan to get these houses completed and people in them? And in fact, I would like to know what is the price of those houses, because the question I would pose, if these lands, and this is where I would stop, Marcia, and we can, we can discuss it or whatever. If these lands are the same lands that were identified to be sold at $5 per square foot, what would have been the cost of constructing a house on his or her own, as a landowner who would have purchased that land, as opposed to the price of these houses? And my question is, what is the price of this house with the so-called free land that was part of the deal? For me, it just says utter confusion. People come up with these schemes, but at the end of the day, and the list for me is growing, even in terms of housing alone, whether it is to house first-time homeowners or to house persons who were unfortunate to have their houses destroyed. This government is doing what Serenade said, one step forward and two steps, or in this case, 10 steps backward. Because
no, he said steel in there.
Okay, but that too. So the stepping back is steel. So I really I am aghast, Marcia, because these are people who criticize everything. And I'm not here to get into the housing record of the administration of which I was a part. But if anybody wants to, I could share that with them too. But I can tell you that I suspect that this land at Pool would have been some of that land that would have been invested in the National Housing Corporation to sell to people so that they would then apply to town planning to erect a house of their own, design and according to their means and whatever else. And I am sure that people would have been well on their way to being in this if those things were done. But I await a picture showing a complete houses with no grass growing up to the window to the windowsill and so on. But I hope, Marcia, that puts some kind of perspective on what I see to be a fiasco so far. So the question is, how do they resolve this? What has it cost us today? What additional costs? Why is it in this state? So that is my take on this at this point in time.
Saying if you don't want to see grass, get some cows, because they may build on it anytime soon. You gotta get some. You gotta get some cows. Yeah, you gotta get some cows and get rid of that grass. Let me, Master, can I go on? Right?
Yes, go right ahead.
That land is, you are absolutely correct when you talk about that land that was supposed to be sold to these people. Some of them actually paid the deposit.
Wow.
And then the government called them and get them back. Because they come up with this hopeless project.
So clarify for us, Mr. Franklin, what are you talking about? This land, can you clarify? They paid
the land at Lancaster, right? This land was supposed to be sold to police and teachers, civil servants, but less than $4,000 salary and thing. Sounded good. However, some people actually paid deposits on this land, and then the government changed their mind.
Wow.
And decided, no, we ain't gonna do it for that anymore. We're going to give it to this Hope. Let's Hope this foundation. What do you call it? Hope this thing.
Don't mix up Hope Foundation with that, please.
And I said hopeless.
I know, but I don't know why they chose that name, because they're mixing up with a very good NGO. But anyhow, go ahead.
So what has happened? And I don't want to get sued now, so I'm going to be very cautious. When the government could put a project in the hands of a person, because this is government land, this is a government entity, and that person now becomes the chairman of that entity. What is his expertise in housing and building houses? I do not know of any previous experience in the house building thing. But then you have to ask, and I'm saying I don't want to get sued. At the time of that project, who was his significant other, other
Hey,
than other than Santia Bradshaw? Um, so this, no, I'm not accusing anybody of any corruption or anything. I'm saying it looks bad. And then when you don't produce or anything for the all the inputs that the government put into it, there has to be an investigation. There should be some sort of commission of inquiry. There should be something. You just don't go around the place taking government money, doing as you like, and saying, "Oh, oops, we made a mistake. We can't finish this house." And I can say, "What happened to the money? That structure there that you see with all the grass going around it didn't cost zero. It had to cost something. Where did that money come from? It came from the poor people in Barbados who were forced to pay taxes because they stopped taking taxes on the rich people and start putting on the poor. You must remember that. So it is the poor people's money that they have actually taken up, abused, give it to their friends and family and significant others. And you can't have a project like that. Put it in the hands of an unknown. Because he is not known for anything in that area. He is known for who his partner was. And he's known for other things that I cannot say on this program because we must still keep this program above a certain thing. So, but not in housing, not in providing housing. The government has a lot to answer, and they have a lot to explanation for KEMAR because KEMAR brought it out and it showed everybody, because I went across Lancaster for so long, I ain't seen that out there. But KEMAR he went to St. John, and he's brought the government to shame. That's what they don't want him. I believe for some reason that the people don't want him because he is embarrassing the government. Even the opposition don't want him because he's embarrassing the government. Something strange about that. But that's another topic for another time. All I want to know is who got this money? Where has it gone? I see V-Hoy was asking if the contractors was being paid. I was going to play on the words and say Hoyos, but I'm not going to do that to you. V-Hoy asks, where has the money gone? If the contractors have been paid? That is a relevant question. It comes from this opposition, not this shadow cabinet. It comes from this opposition.
who were the contractors? Who were
Who are
the
the contractors? Who
subcontractors?
got paid? Who
I just
are
want to
these
correct
people?
something there, Caswell. I think somebody was asking about contracts, tenders. The company, the Hope Inc., is supposed to be a government company. Mr. Hoyos, at the time of that article, was chairman of the company. I do not know who or to whom Hope Inc. offered contracts. That would be interesting information. I know that I think it was Mr. Newton who said that he went to seeking to as a cupboard builder to do work, and he was told that they had imported 500 cabinets. Now, you see, this is the other thing about these projects. The idea behind these really and truly should be to generate as much business for locals as possible. When there was the issue, the repair of houses after the hurricane and the that extreme weather thing that we had as well, they say that we couldn't find the people here to expedite repairs. But 2 years and more hence, the repairs weren't done, and you were bringing a structure that was different from the house that the people lived in. People lived in houses, for the most part, houses damaged would have been wooden houses, and you have carpenters here. You have a tradition. I know people have gone to Guyana over years and had given specifications as to measurements, and people would have prepared the materials and they came and assembled. So that is really a problem of how people are given business and to whom they're getting it. It's
Yeah, I want to jump in here.
Go ahead.
I heard two good contributions just now, and I want to add some more detail as to what Maxine and Caswell said. So I'm gonna first start by Maxine's points. The government and this whole project intended to build houses in St. Lucie. I think it was Colleton and St. Lucie,
Yeah.
Colleton and St. John, right? Pool in St. John and Vesper Gardens at Lancaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all heard what happened with Lancaster. I saw on the news today that the government was clearing grass out by Lancaster, which was a very misleading headline because they didn't say that the grass that they were clearing was fresh grass and had nothing to do with the grass that was running over the houses there right now, right? They didn't say that part. But you know how the media goes, right? Not, and I need to thank the people in St. John who gave me this information and who asked me to come there to put it out there that the government was misleading the people of Barbados as to what they were doing for them, right? Not one house is built at Colleton and St. John. Not one, right? This is after Charles Griffith said that and Dwight Sutherland said that the government built 83 houses in Colleton, but not house in Colleton. But they're reporting to the public that they started to build 83 houses, right? They said, and this is where you have to lash the nation now, right across the fingers. You know how it happens when you get trouble in school, to hit you across the fingers, right?
Knuckles.
I don't know about that. I was a good boy.
Right? But I have to hit the nation across the knuckles now because they conveniently left out that the minister said that the government built 202 houses at Pool in St. John.
Not true.
Right? They reported in the news that the government had planned to build 180. That was not the minister. That was Charles Griffith, who had another figure that was contrary to what the actual minister was saying. Right? Charles Griffith was in the Minister of Housing. He was minister in the Ministry of Housing before. Right? And he came and gave a report to the people of St. I remember he gave a report when he was speaking to constituent online that the government started to build 180 houses at Pool. We gone to Pool, Marcia. We've gone up there to Pool. Not even 30 partial structures are in the air. Foundations, all the grass.
I can tell you exactly how many, KEMAR. We counted them twice today. 18, 1-8. And then there are 6 foundations that are there.
That you can see through the grass. Yes. Well, that's the best they can do. Bad. No.
Yeah, go ahead, KEMAR.
So they even have a one house so far out in the bush that I want to know who will live all over there in the bush at their lonesome self, right? It just looks despicable. No, that's not all. They have the materials. Look at right there. That singular person is living all in the bush.
But stick a pin there before. Don't move the picture. If you go, I remember when I bought the piece of land that I built my house on. That was bought from the National Housing Corporation. When you came, they had roads. How come you have bush from end to end? Don't they have a road? I mean, you normally put in roads in it, Caswell, and
roads are the first thing you put in.
Okay, so can I just say something? I really have to say something here that KEMAR, when we were there, somebody asked the question, but where's the road to this house? and because the person knows, they said, but don't they normally they normally put the roads in and
the roads, water, lights
going first.
You know,
right. So where is it?
What you want to know what they have? They have a temporary current setup to give the people electricity. They don't even have electricity. Do you know what? You know how embarrassing it is that the big bad government of Barbados has to use temporary electricity. That's a disgrace, Marcia. Right?
But
You,
this
I,
doesn't
I,
allow house development.
You use temporary electricity when you are building your house and you want a supply for the carpenter and the masons and blah blah blah, so use power tools.
Yes.
But you
Right.
don't. But
But
you don't
you put
continue
in the
that temporary
utilities and
supply for people
everything.
to
Yeah.
use. If those
You
things
would
are put in, you put in the roads, you put the water, you put the gas, you put everything, so that when you build the houses on the corner of so and so. So these people don't have to put this house here and then design the road so as to pass by this house.
but no, because when you look at this picture, I mean,
But wait,
even if
let
there's bush.
Kimar finish his
Sorry.
point.
Sorry,
Let him
Kiba.
finish his point. Finish your
right.
point, Kimar.
And I see these things here, as a real estate agent. This is my everyday affair. I houses is what I do, and I mean, to enter into a space, the first thing you do is the road. I live close to Cottage Plantation. When they develop all of these new districts, the first thing before one even house we even right up was the road, right? Because Light and Power will tell you, in order for you to get electricity through here, you gotta go a road. You can't get it backwards because the trucks have to drive on the road to go around and help put up the poles and take in proper spaces. I also work at a company called HAJ, which installed those poles and helped to set up the infrastructure, but not like telephone, right? This was done all backwards, right? And the fact that taxpayers' money was spent on this project, millions of dollars issued to people to build these half-of structures here. And Maxine, you were asking about the price. The price for one of these are $250,000, right? For one,
And you get the land for free,
well,
according
well
to them.
that thing about the electricity and biomass from the grid, that's a fallacy. That is dead in the water because the government and Light and Power is playing strong arm wrestling between the two, and the government does not want to extend Light and Power's operating license as it is, and therefore Light and Power is not allowing the government to feed into their grid. So therefore, any plans to develop this roofing thing with the whole is just completely dead in the water, and it will not happen. And that is part of why the project is being stalled, because that particular aspect that they sold it on, Light and Power is not playing ball with the government, right? So no electricity in terms of the infrastructure in there. I don't know if they have any water. All of the building materials are set up inside a fence, Maxine. And the thieves have a big hole. I don't know if they got the snips and cut the fence right up to the top. And it's an open, like how in a dance hall you have a big open gate that you can walk through.
Sure.
A big open gate you walk through. People have been taking the materials and going off and building just the Four Seasons, right? People just
gonna say that.
just walking in and taking. And the people up there at pool, when they spoke to me, were very concerned because that bush is very high, and women have to get off at that bus stop, very lonesome bus stop. The street lights are there not very bright anyway. And that bush is so high, and any given night, thieves are over in the grass stealing the thing. So imagine how women who live in pool feel to be think, right? And the nation is protecting Dwight Sutherland and Charles, right? And not telling the truth that they say that they had X amount of houses up there. So they either got to produce. This is the first time I ever heard a minister say, I can ask you tomorrow.
Ask you tomorrow?
I can respond tomorrow. They asked him, but he said he can respond tomorrow, right? If that was under the Dems or any other government, and the reporters ask you a question, are you still going to respond? They would tear the skin off anybody, right?
Yep.
What can he come and say? He needs to either produce the money that was paid out on this project, and two, he needs to produce the rest of those houses that both he and Charles said were there. But you know what? They didn't tell us that the Prime Minister had urban and rural in her office, and she was the one controlling all the houses. So she sent them out there to open their mouths and talk and made all of these big pronouncements, 10,000 houses in 5 years, knowing full well that she had plans to sabotage them and make them look bad. And she succeeded because they're caught in a big lie. They can't produce the money and they can't produce the houses. You know what this reminds me of? Clay Maskell, Harwood Housing, right? And this needs an investigation.
Well, he taught them well.
Well, you see, this is where, and Marcy, I would say, and Caswell can, I don't know how it's going to work, but this is the last point KEMAR made, said that this needs an investigation. This is where you would order a special audit by the Auditor General, but I don't know now who would order that, or if he can undertake. I would have to go back and look
on his own initiative. He can board the audit if he might not be concentrating on that area,
but
and the minister might ask him for do a special audit. However,
he himself choose.
He can, on his own initiative, go and audit anywhere government money is spent.
My recommendation, thanks KEMAR for saying that, it reminded me, I am calling now on the Auditor General as a citizen of this country and a taxpayer of many decades to do an investigation into this whole business.
No, you can't do it like that. You can't do it like that.
Yeah.
He might not be watching this show, and he can't say, yeah, no, if you write him. You got to
write
write
him a letter.
You got to write him a letter and point that out to him. So he can't say that he didn't know.
To write
what
a
he,
letter.
what he could say is that he ain't got the staff.
Well, at least we made the request. If it's a priority, he can look and see how much money, and he you know.
But what I'm thinking is that, Mr. Frank, Mr. McLean, when you do that letter, one of the things that we are wanting to do is to see this activism, not just 4 persons, 5 persons, but the over 800 of us that's on. Because if that letter is reproduced, Ms. McLean, and if you allow us to use it and send it out so that everybody sends it to the Attorney General, let him get over 800
Auditor General. Auditor General.
The Auditor General. The Auditor General. I'm sorry. Let him get over 800 copies by tomorrow. People hear the show. Those of you in the UK, get a copy of this letter and send it to the Auditor General. And also, we need to send stuff to the MPs.
He only needs one. You see, he is not an elected official. He only needs one. He has to bring to his attention, because what he will do, just clap his mailbox with stuff. He's not elected. He is appointed by the government, and then the government can't take him out that easily. He has to do something really silly that will cause him to lose his job. He's one of those people who are cemented in law and in their job by the Constitution. He could investigate anybody and they can't do him anything. Right? The only thing they could do with him is pain. Or if you go and do some stupid thing, go and rape somebody or thief something, then they could get rid of him. But he is in like a headless nail. You can't get him out. So get him going. He has, that's his job. And since he is not going to be there to check everything, because he cannot check every transaction in government, you point him in the direction where he should go. There's nothing wrong with that. I also was thinking about writing Darwin Dottin about this check that Sandy got too. So I think I got write too. Because, you know, he's supposed to be anti-corruption thing.
Marcia, I just want to go back to this comment here. There must have been a conflict of interest. What I just want to repeat in relation to the guy, Mr. Hoyos, he was chairman of a company. I am not sure. Well, the company did identify.
It's a government company.
It's a government company. He's a chairman. So what I would need to know and hopefully this is part of the information that an audit done can help tell us, who were the people who got the contracts to do the construction, who have contracts to do the internals of, you know, because remember
Preconco Limited.
That looked Preconco. You know, that they would have done that. Okay. So those are the kinds of questions, hopefully. But I will, as I said, thank you, KEMAR, for mentioning that, because it just, as you say, so it just said, it made me think of writing. Of course, I anticipate that I will
Sorry.
get more action than writing. To my member of parliament, because remember the last thing I shared with her, my response was thank you, and I plan to send it to her again, but I wouldn't send this to her. That'd be a total waste of time. I'll send it directly to the Auditor General.
Yeah. Listen, somebody said, man, this administration must be just pray for power outages when they show on. Listen, I had a power outage an hour before, and I said I was cool as cucumber. I said if I don't get on, the show is going to go on. So
The show will go
I was
on.
fine. I was fine with that.
And if you
listen,
can't do
none
it
of us
tonight, we
on
do it
here
tomorrow.
My power was
Listen, but
off earlier too, you know, and I was saying, but I hope they come out before the show.
Mine didn't go off.
Listen, folks, it's 9:50, and we're asking you to, there are 807 of you on. We're asking you to like the show, like it, and also to subscribe, so that whenever we come on, you'll be able to know. We don't even do that all the time. That's the truth, because I come on here, I'm not trying to get subscribers. I'm trying to get a message out. But I know I'm supposed to say that, right? For you to subscribe so that you know when we're on, right? And we ask you to like as well. I want to say this though, and I think it's right that we say this, that when I read through the documents this evening, Miss McLean, and the one you sent me, I had seen that already, and I sat down today and read through a lot of things, and I went to the spot and just prayed and listened. I believe that the concept, in all fairness, is a very good concept. It is a good concept that you are seeking to give hope to people to own a piece of the rock. And if it was done and done properly, it would be beautiful. To be honest, it's a beautiful idea. And you have to give that to the government. It's a beautiful idea. And I liked it as I listened to what was being said on the videos, and I read the documents, and I said to myself, then a sadness came over me, because as a Barbadian, you would feel that sense of hope that you're going to get a piece of the rock, and then it's like the rug was pulled under you. And you see all of this that is happening with all the grass growing. No wonder the people in St. John would have called KEMAR, because their hopes were dashed. Their hopes were trampled on. Something that was supposed to give them hope left them hopeless. And Miss McLean, I'm always connected to the people. And for me, when I stood there, I tried to listen to see what am I feeling, what am I hearing, and what I felt. And honestly, somebody who was I forgot the name of the project. I started to say that I felt hopelessness. People, you know what it is when you live where you live, it's not comfortable, and then somebody made this promise to you that they're going to take you out of, I grew up in the ghetto community, and if somebody had come and told my parents are going to give them a new, gonna not give, but provide the opportunity to get up somewhere else to live. You know what that would do to my heart. And then for them to take that away from people, take the hope away. And that's what I want the officials who are listening. Don't just listen to the criticisms, but listen to the fact that you had a good idea. What went wrong? What went wrong? You have grabbed the rug under the feet of many Barbadians, and this government has left them hopeless. That's really what I want to say.
Marcia, it makes no sense giving the people the opportunity to own a piece of the rock and don't give them a road to get there. All right? So if I can't get to my piece of the rock, it ain't worth nothing to me. And I ain't see no houses. I ain't see no houses, and I ain't see no roads. So it was a good idea in conception, but not implementation. Because the first thing you have to do is give me the road so I can get to my piece of the rock. You know? So Hoyos and Rod and Adams, these were the two chairman and deputy chairman
Yeah.
of this project. And again, I know Rod and Adams for no and money and that kind of stuff. Again, I don't know if he's into housing and that kind of stuff.
My God,
But
virtual roads.
it might be. You know, but this is you know, so I am I am appalled really at what I'm seeing. SD and H99 said it's a nice peaceful view though with no neighbors. That just came up on the that came up a little while ago on the thing and I just wrote it down. But I don't
See, for the lands that would have been under that 500 lot, what they did was, especially with agricultural land, they would have taken off marginal strips, etc. You know, that would not have been the best for agriculture and done it. And so you would actually be creating a community with those. But I mean, these was you would have to, I don't know, as you say, cows will walk with a cow in front.
yeah, you're gonna come.
I mean, I have never seen. I have never seen a development like this because even in the picture that was shown with something, it was like it looked like marl rather than a finished road.
Yeah, it was Mars.
I can
You
tell
can see
you
it.
that what happens with all housing developments I've seen around here, private and government, you put in the roads, they're complete. Because I remember once teaching a course in Antigua, and one of my former students was showing me a housing development, and that was the first thing I said to the person. I said, "But in Barbados, we put in all the road infrastructure and so first, yeah, because this is a Mara road. This is not complete. So the grass, as the rain washes over and so on, you'll probably see the grass covering. You know,
The
I mean,
grass
it is
will merge.
beautiful. I mean, why would they? Why would they do? Were they cutting corners? I mean,
Yeah, but what it says to me, because the person who was asking about the roads and the water, and I said they must have that. Probably we didn't see, you know. But you know, I trying to find the good, you know, to think the best. But truthfully, this seems to me, it appears to me that this looks like a sham. It looks like it doesn't look real. It looks like a scam. And I have seen the scams. Remember, this administration, this government was and certain people in the government, you know, they were involved. Well, it was alleged that it appeared that they were involved in scams. So this word scam is something that keeps coming up. And for me, this looked like a big hustle, like somebody on a hustle. You know, that's how it looks to me.
I'm gonna share something that I was talking to someone I knew. I hadn't spoken to this person for a long time, and I was lamenting the fact that there were so many projects started and not finished. And the person, from all I had gathered, was no foe of the Barbados Day Party. But positively, this was somebody who I considered supported the party and certainly would have voted for them on multiple occasions. And I was lamenting, as I said, the fact that these projects started. The person said, you know, as much as I hate to say this, the projects are not finished, but people got money in their pockets. So her suggestion or observation was that, and I'm going to come back and say something to Atkins in terms of the land at Pool, because, you know, her observation was that while projects may not finish, some people have been making money on an ongoing basis. Now, Mr. Atkins is saying that the land is 3 feet deep, which is deep. But as I said, my understanding where they would have selected would have been on the perimeters of probably, because these are a lot of the 500 lots they were chosen in areas where, as I said, they would have taken off parts of land which would be in the agricultural belt, for example, but land that was seen to be not the most productive in terms. So while that may be true, I would have to find out in the case of these lots whether that applied across the board. or but if there were and there was some excavation, you probably should see deep soil. So this may apply generally, but as I said, they may be on the perimeters of some of the lands, because it wasn't to utilize, and I can't speak for what was done after the fact, but I can tell you about the lots. um, what was intended was to use the Rablan type part of these agricultural locations.
Miss
But
Brooklyn, I hate to laugh in the middle
Yeah,
of
for
it.
me
This,
too. That
listen,
what this man said.
listen,
Selling hope
listen,
is
they better
profitable.
come with, listen, listen, they better come with that legislation fast, because this is a joke. This one is not, it
no,
can't get
but
away.
you see,
Selling hope is profitable.
Yeah.
you have to keep some of these bars here, because no, but you see, at the end of the day, if you laugh sometimes, your body would be under a lot of stress, because these things
Yeah,
upset you,
you know,
because at the
but
end of the
like
day,
we're laughing. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
at the
Mister.
end of the day, the people who are hurting are the more vulnerable people. These are houses intended for first time home owners, persons below a certain income point levels, and people, as you would have, people would have made deposits. The promise, people go and read the article, was that there was supposed to be a seamless process, where rather than running from one location to the next, all of these approvals, so it was like a one-stop shop, according to the article and the comments of Mr. Hoyos. But what, and then that's what it's supposed to be. But then you get the minister saying, well, house is finished, but they can't move in because the bank something. But I thought that having seen some of the challenges and promising that you were going to have a system that was different, that you go and negotiate, because if 30 people were approved, I presume the 30 people were approved not only by Hope Inc., but were approved, or they were approved by Hope Inc., with the understanding that they were bringing approval to finance the purchase. So, I didn't buy the explanations, but it just tells me there are a whole set of contradictions.
Let me tell you now what happens here. See, because Maxine, you you were thinking what the Dems intended to do. The Dems were taking the Rablan and putting houses on them. These people didn't do that. They put houses on the agricultural land, because when one of the pictures I can see a place where I went and dig yams. 'Cause I used to go and dig my own yams, and I remember digging yams in that area. So that is right in the middle of yam ground. Where I said that house, a yam ground. I remember digging yams at that spot. So they took the agricultural land, not the Rab land. The Dems wanted to use the Rab land to build houses, because the Rab land wasn't producing anything. It was just there as a grass piece. And you put, just like how they did Husband's Gardens. Because Husband's Gardens, a lot of Rab land, a lot of hard sour grass and things. I lived there once. I actually owned a house there once. And it was land, virgin land. Nobody ever planted anything on it, because the rocks were to the surface. That's the land that the Dems were intended to
We're cutting
use.
out, right?
What these people have done, they have used prime agricultural land, and instead want to send our black belly sheep to Guyana to raise down there and use our agricultural land for housing.
Housing.
Yeah,
Now, I
because
know that
remember
the
they
public.
sent they send Althea Wiggins down to, well, they had to include Guyana issue, because the current government now don't want nothing to do with this, but Barbados government, because they were involved with the criminal Bautista. You remember Bautista was a criminal. He's got convicted and he's hiding out from his jail sentence. These are the people that Motley wants to deal with. Bautista is a criminal. He has been convicted of murder in his country, and he's hiding from the law. No, because he's supposed to be in jail. And he was president. And Motley was hand and glove. Like hand and glove. They fit like hot guts and potato. They were.
I laughing at you. And I'm laughing at Devil Breath. It's coming. It's good.
Listen, these people are, listen, they are disrupting the show. They are disrupting the show. Read the comments. Read the comments.
Yes, man. I
That's my
started laughing at that as well.
that's my school buddy there.
Never, Brathwaite. Listen, you all are ruining the show. We can't. I didn't even realize 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Listen, I need to be writing these things down because listen.
That's a common mirror there
I
for
love a
you.
good laugh.
If it's the person who I think it is. It's a common surname in Barbados, but
No, but like, I know this man. Trust me, I know
okay.
him. He's
I
my
suspect
buddy
it's the same person.
over 50 years. You know, and what I was saying though that so instead of using our agricultural land, our scarce agricultural land for agriculture, because this is a high rainfall area too, they decided they're gonna go down to Guyana and Suriname. But they had to add on Guyana because, as I said, Surinamese new government don't want nothing to do with Barbados now, in particular because they were out there in hand in glove with
About to say, you
Bautista.
said. About
You
to
know?
say.
Yeah, Bautista is a criminal. Everybody knows that now he's been convicted. I ain't slandering anybody. He can't sue me. So they have waste our agricultural land and now ain't got the land to plant our crops and want to go down to Guyana. Down to Guyana to get them to. But what's his name? Vice President.
I understand. It'd be nice to know how many sheep. According to Guyanese, I know some of the sheep have graced the plates of certain people already.
Yeah, well,
So
I like black belly sheep. But I know you're talking about.
I have some in my freezer right now, but I can't give Eddie. Next time.
Yeah.
Guys, I wanted to say.
10:06. It's 10:06. Go ahead, KEMAR.
I'm ready.
You're probably gonna get us laughing.
I just wanted to make one last observation. Maybe not as funny as you guys, because you guys are really, really turned on the tail tonight. I can now see why the people want bring the cybercrime bill on the Mars. They should really rename that bill the Marcia Show bill. A section for Martin McLean that regulates foreign ministers from speaking. A section to regulate casual finance section to regulate the trade unions' behaviors. A section for the Marcia Show and a section for KEMAR Show.
And then the place will be quiet. Okay.
Yes, then everything will go back to peace. But I say that to say it already. If you look back to the history of the Barbados Civil Party, they don't ever really build low income housing projects, you know.
That's true. That's true.
They focus on middle and upper income. I even read an article as well. I think it was from the same Hoyos that was saying that they abandoned a low income project to build townhouses, right? And you saw a clip today from Junior Sparks, real estate agent, on the front page of the Nation, saying that houses between 200,000 and 600,000 are just not there, and that's very true. Houses are actually priced out so high out in the average man's hand, and only the government can build those type of projects where you offer people subsidized housing. But if you look at the numbers, right, this project will not provide any benefits really to the contractors. It's called slow money. They don't want slow money, and it's not that much. The returns are not that hefty, so it serves them better financially to take the money up front, and that's the project. Because it's government at the end of the day, and the government, they are the ones who are interested in the vote, so they will go find the money to get it done if they want to get it done. But it has always been a trademark of the bees not to facilitate low-income housing, and if they do, it had to be a project that the them started and they just completed to get the political points. But in most of my history, I've hardly ever seen the bees build a low-income housing project.
That's correct. They might have done some prototypes, but then they never followed through. But now that you say so very quickly, KEMAR, and I'm happy to hear that you're into real estate, because
that would be your last comment, Mr. McLean.
Okay, well, I'm gonna suggest a housing solution financed by the credit union. But my last comment, though, is to offer my deepest condolences to Trisha Watson on the passing of her father. For former
Oh.
Commissioner of Police Grantley Watson, and also to the family of a former colleague of mine, Justice Jefferson Cumberbatch. Somebody I knew from our days at secondary school, always a very calm, mild gentleman. May they both be received by the ancestors, and may they rest in peace. Again, sympathies to everybody who would have been colleagues, relatives, friends.
Yes, thank you, Miss. We say that on behalf of everybody listening.
Of us all.
You said that on our behalf. Yes, for everybody. Thank you. KEMAR. Well, KEMAR, you just spoke. Is that your final words for tonight, KEMAR?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you can hear, I'm not feeling so hot, but I know I had to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I took my motivation from Caswell. You know, he's not feeling well, he's still, but it's true to be here. So I am here. Thank you for facilitating me. Again, I just want to say a big thank you to those people in St. John who asked me to come and put the word up there and to unearth this corrupt activity of this government. And what is so insulting is happening in the constituency that Errol Barrow represented, right? And it's an insult that you would do something like this to Mamagai, not only those people, but the whole island. Once you know that I left believing that there were houses being built up there, proper houses, right? So I am ashamed. I am embarrassed. I'm feeling serious emotional distress. So who owes me $70,000? Who owes me?
You're all on a roll. You're all on a roll. Okay, General. Final words for tonight, and so we can get some rest. And
I just want to say, you know, like I noticed the article in the newspaper today about not having it houses between 200 and it is $200,000, $600,000, I think it is, to which is probably no lower income. And I didn't see, I was on the front page. I was surprised that something like that would lick 73.3% off the front page and put us to 5. You know, but I am not worried. All I want to say though is to the people listening, and I want you to tell your friends and your neighbors, this cybercrime bill, don't be deceived. It has some good aspects of it. We are not marching against the good aspect of it. We are marching against the sections that say that even if you tell the truth, they won't lock you up. If the truth embarrass people, that read section 19, 1, 2, and 3. And you will see that even if, mind you, defamation has a defense of truth. You can say to some person, or what I said about the person is the truth, and that's the best defense against defamation. But this act does not allow that defense. It says if you embarrass or humiliate a person and stuff, you can end up before the courts and pay $70,000. So even if you tell the truth about a fella on your computer, now if you go down the road and say the same things to a crowd below the computer, they can't do you nothing. But if you put it on the computer and send it out, you have committed a serious criminal act. That does not make sense. Mind you, if you said it publicly, the person you said it about can sue you for defamation of character. And that is the normal law. That's the law that's all they know. But these people want to stop you even from telling the truth about them on the computer. And you know, every place I go, the other day I was driving my car on the road and I saw this person walking toward me on the computer and going like this, you know, and I stopped the car and I didn't even blow the horn, I just stopped. And when the person got in front of me, they jumped. So you can see how much people are concentrating on their phones. They like the phones. They're always on the phones. I see people at restaurants saying, no, you know, people at restaurants saying, no. I had to tell a fellow, yeah, there, my look. The normal thing is to talk to the girl, not text. We told them about the same table, you know, and they were there. So People like being on their phones, and this is an act to attack the young people who voted for them. It's attack the people like me who now learning how to do these blogging things. They want to silence everybody. Please come out and stand up for your rights. You have rights. Do not allow the government to take nowhere one by one, because when they take one and then they take two and then they take three, next thing you know, you will not have any rights. Please come out and march with us on Saturday. It is in your own interest. And let me just echo CG's comment. He says, anyone interested in coming to Unity tomorrow to help with the placards, come around 10 a.m. So you can come to Unity, number 5, 6th Avenue. We are preparing placards there tomorrow for our march on Saturday. So if you have any skill in black, I know you realize you people got a lot of talent, a lot of skills here. From the comments I've been seeing, come out and support this cause. It is a worthy cause. We need you, you need us, and the people of Barbados need you. They came for the trade unionists, and now they're coming for the bloggers. Don't allow them to succeed. Come out on Saturday the 10th and support yourselves. Thanks, Marcia.
Thank you. Very well said, Mr. Franklin. I love that ending. And,
Trevor, yes, we can send in placards. Can we send anything? Yes, send them in and we will use them. You can send them to unityworkers2010@gmail.com. unityworkers2010@gmail.com. My assistant and CG works well together. So you should see the totem last time around, man. Unityworkers2010 gmail.com. Unityworkers2010. So send your suggestions for placards. We will take them and we will use them. As long as we don't put ourselves before the court, they won't sue us.
Yeah, guys, what's also important, we have to pay for the, we have to pay for the police, permission, to march, and so that is usually about $900, plus, all the other expenses of the sound, which is $800. We do have some money. I should be able to tell you tomorrow what we have left over from the last project that we had, and my little friend up in St. Philip that have the money tied up there waiting for me. So and I think people brought a few dollars to as well as we were on tonight. Yes. Somebody from the UK sent some Western Union money by a Western Union. So anybody who, if you're able to assist, please, you can either email that same email address, or you can just to say what it is that you're doing, or you can WhatsApp me at the 236-7000 236-7000. If you're overseas, it's 246. Okay. And all of that money goes towards paying for the marches. What's left over, we keep, and for the next time around. And if you've given and you want to see how the money is being spread, you want to see the spreadsheet and all of that, you just message me and you'll get it. All right. We're in a smaller chat, and that is produced so you can see how the money is spent. All right. So in terms of being transparent ourselves. All right. So repeat the email address. The email address is Unity Workers.
Kick down Jericho wall. Opposition fall in line. Politicians run and ball. One by one, brick by brick, they crumble and fall. At the voice of the Almighty. And the trumpet call. Lies and corruption at this administration. Lies and corruption, beer abomination. Lies and corruption, poverty and frustration. Lies and corruption, mashing up the nation. Lies and corruption at this administration. Lies and corruption, beer abomination. Lies and corruption, poverty and frustration. Lies and corruption, mashing up the nation. Vaccine scam, can't left a memory. Trident ID won't be mandatory. Pin it, change them up on the elderly. Make me vote them, treat it like enemy.
Let we march.
That's it. Let we march. All right. So guys, let we march, and we're gonna pay for this march, and as we always do, right? God bless you all, and see you tomorrow. We're excited. All right, bye-bye. Great job, guys. Thank you, Miss McLean. Thank you, Apostle. Thank you, KEMAR, coming on and not feeling well. Thank you, Mr. Franklin, and to everybody. Oh, the chat was on fire. I love it. Thank you all, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
All right. Good